Hampton Roads has a long-running high school and college sports tradition. It's time to give them the spotlight they deserve. This is 757 Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Yes. Welcome to 757 Sports Talk, powered by Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe. He is the Coach Ed Young. I am Matthew Hatfield. And Edward, as the month of March is coming to a close and we usher in April, they say April showers bring May flowers. Well, we're getting from the college hoops, the madness, to Major League Baseball underway. Cold in different parts of the country, warm in other portions of America. But we are here to do our baseball preview with 5 burning questions. Count them, 5. Make our picks with over-under selections. Are you ready for some baseball? I know you are, even as your Bronx Bombers get the season started on Netflix against the San Francisco Giants, who might have a picnic with the New York Giants when they go to New York.
Yeah, I was wondering when those guys get together, since they both have the nickname Giants, they get together and talk about that. I always wondered that.
Just like the Rangers, New York and Texas, they do the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I might have to call somebody who knows better and see if they can do that.
Yeah, for sure. You ready for the 5? Yeah, go ahead.
It is baseball. It is time to – now, why we're playing March 25th, opening game, only game, West Coast, San Francisco. You can see the Yankees. Everybody wants to see the Yankees. I don't get it. It's not opening day. It's opening night. And I agree with another wise man. It should have been afternoon baseball. Cincinnati traditionally was the team that always opened up a little bit before everybody. And the afternoon, you skip school, go home and watch it on TV. Kids in Cincinnati would go watch it. Look, old Crosley Field, try to sneak in the back fence, jump the fence, whatever. This is not.
You have experience jumping fences, all right?
Oh, absolutely. To get in to watch certain games and things, movie theaters, go in the back door. Yeah, when I was little. Yep.
My only question was that before or after you took the candy bar from 7-Eleven?
No, because when I got the candy bar, I ran home and looked over my shoulder the whole way. Yeah. When I snuck in a mood there, me and a buddy, we were making sure nobody's looking. We got in there, watched the there was I think it was an old Batman series, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, wait. You said you and your buddy. So you had an accomplice in this whole thing.
Oh, yeah. He talked me into it.
Okay. So blame him.
I knew if my mom found out, I'd get a beating.
Make sure you give his name and address up so the authorities can find him and throw him and prosecute him to the full extent of the law. So
yeah.
All right. Here's our 5 burning questions. We'll do over-unders in the next segment of the program. But we've got 5 burning questions for you. Take them in our numerical order that they are presented. Question number 1, Edward. Will the Toronto Blue Jays become the first team since the Kansas City Royals to go from losing the World Series to winning it the following year? They lost that 7-game heartbreaker. Remember, they were literally just, 2 outs away from beating the West Coast evil empire that I refer to as the LA Dodgers. And now this Blue Jays team, they're pretty much intact. They're in a very tricky division with your Yankees, the Boston Red Sox, a trendy pick in the Orioles. Even Tampa Bay, gets the most out of what they have, farm system and beyond, their resources. They did lose Bo Bichette, and that leaves a little bit of a void. They still have Springer and Guerrero and Varsho and Barger and Kirk. Pitching staff seems pretty reasonable. They got guys like Kevin Gausman and Dylan Cease, and Max Scherzer still hanging around. Now, they do have some injuries because, Shane Bieber, who they acquired from Cleveland, Jose Berrios, not going to start the year off, and the rookie phenom Trey Savage got the right shoulder situation going on. But what do you think? Can the Jays make some history here?
I don't think so. I kind of lean towards – no, I can see the Blue Jays in the World Series, but I don't think they'll – and I like the whole world, I'm picking the Dodgers. They're not going to beat the Dodgers.
So you're just going to – the odds are with you to say no, and I'm with you too. I think it'd be really cool for Canada. I'd have to go get my Canada hat back out come October. but I just think that the American League is going to be fierce with their own division. Even outside their own division, Detroit is loading up, I think, for this year and might make a move or two before the deadline. And Seattle, the team they had to outlast in a thrilling ALCS, they're quite formidable. And even if you get back to the Fall Classic, are you going to take down the NL champion, which many assume will be the Dodgers? So, yeah, you're probably on the right side to err, the side of caution, if you will. But it would be pretty cool if the Blue Jays can get it done.
Yeah, I think so. But baseball is such a long season, anything can happen.
Now, I want you to address this one here because I have a couple neat figures for this one. It has to do with the MVP, the most valuable player. Only one guy has gotten this award more than 4 times, and it's Barry Bonds. But Ohtani's going for his 5th, and I believe Aaron Judge is going for his 4th. The
name Bobby Witt jumps at me in the American League hard.
Ooh, from Kansas City. Well, yeah. I tell you what, if they win that division, the AL Central, which Detroit's favored to do, Cleveland came roaring back from double-digit games behind in the month of September. But if the Royals, who won it a couple years ago, or made the playoffs a couple years ago, I should say, can get there and do it, Witt would be a great candidate. The thing is, Cal Raleigh had a year for the ages at catcher, and he still wasn't enough to beat out Judge. And Ohtani is the dual threat guy as a pitcher and a hitter. And I just loathe that guy. I loathe that guy. If he played for my team, I'd love that guy, but I loathe that guy.
You know me, I'm a Yankee homer, and I love Judge, my favorite player. I would definitely want him. But he's going to have to probably hit 50 home runs, hit over 300, and the Yankees got to stay in contention, like either win the damn thing this time or have the best wild card record by far. But that name Bobby Witt, I think he's everybody's darling now. I think Kansas City last year, I picked them to do really well. And to me, they flopped. So if they do that again, Witt doesn't get consideration. Cal Raleigh's not hitting 60, I don't think. Conventional wisdom says no. But I think he'll hit 30, 40 home runs, but I don't think it'll be 60.
Well, 82 and 80 is not a big flop, I think. It's just I think the expectations were too high for Casey with what they had done previously. But here's one for you. The last time the American League MVP was not Ohtani or Judge, because remember, Ohtani won in 21 and 23 with the Angels, was Jose Abreu from the White Sox in 2020.
There's the
National League MVP. National League MVP has been Ohtani the last 2 years. Before that, you go through 2020, Freddie Freeman, then of the Braves, Bryce Harper, 2021 of the Phillies, Paul Goldschmidt, 2022 of the Cardinals, and Ronald Acuna Jr. of the Braves. So the NL's had different guys, but basically what I'm telling you is we haven't had a full season. Because remember, 2020 was the truncated year after COVID, I believe. That was 21. You got to go back to like 20 and 19. Trout and Bellinger, by the way, were the guys in 19, now on different teams in the case of Bellinger, not with the Dodgers anymore, to find it. So it's so rare that they'll be dethroned. But the only thing that will happen is of an injury. I will say one of the two gets dethroned, but not both. I'll split the baby in half.
And if that's true, my instincts would say Ohtani, because he's such out in the lead, and the idea that he pitches too, if he's doing well in both, it's almost a given.
Well, we go back to the American League. Does Seattle reach the World Series for the first time in franchise history? They're favored to do so. They've won 4 division titles, Ed, 2 wild card berths. They've only made the ALCS twice in their franchise's history, which has produced so many superstars, from Ken Griffey Jr. to Alex Rodriguez to current stars like Julio Rodriguez and Cal Raleigh. Now, we think all the names that have come through. Ichiro, by the way, Hall of Famer. They've only been there twice. Yeah, I mentioned Randy, the big unit, Randy Johnson. 0-1, 25, lost to the Yankees in 0-1, lost last year in 7 to the Blue Jays. Does it happen for the first time in franchise history for Seattle?
Even though I think I just said I'd pick in Toronto to go back to the World Series, I can see Seattle dethroning them. I don't think anybody in the West is strong enough to overtake. I don't think Houston is the Houston we come to know. That's why I'm thinking Seattle wins that. Do they make a trade at midseason to get the key pitcher?
Another pitcher, because their lineup is good. They got Brendan Donovan from St. Louis. They have a Rosarena, Josh Naylor for a full year to go with Julio, Cal Raleigh. But they have arms in Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, Luis Castillo, Brian Wu, who's a sneaky Cy Young pick, by the way, Bryce Miller, maybe another relief arm, or another starting arm. And I think there's going to be more deadline moves this year because of the possible lockout that's looming. So I think it's going to happen. I think it's Seattle's time. And I'm going to go out on the limb and say they win the World Series. I got them dethroning the Dodgers in the Fall Classic. I love their team, their makeup. I think losing in 7, falling short of the series, is going to have them hungry to do it. I'm going with them. I like them. Let's go to burning question number 4. Will the Dodgers become the first team since the Yankees to three-peat? You said earlier yes, and you believe that the addition of Mr. Diaz is a big reason why they got that stopper at the back end, huh?
They picked up, Tucker, Diaz, a few other guys. They were already solid what they had. And now one thing about the Dodgers, you got a litany of pitchers last year on the hurt list. I call it the outs list. We can't call it disabled list anymore. Injury list, IL. And it seems like every year they have crazy injuries, but they're win 90, 95, 100 games. So they have other methods of taking care of guys that aren't out there. I just think they're too strong for anybody. I still like San Diego shot. Your squad, as much as I throw dirt on them, that's a hitting team. I just don't know about the pitching. And San Francisco, I can't see a college coach taking over as manager and leading them to the World Series. So,
not just in his vision. You still got teams in the NL like the Phillies, the Mets, the Cubbies.
Yeah. And
but here's the thing. Those additions up, and they always have the lethal lineup. Anytime you have Betts, Freeman, Ohtani, it's murderer's row. Now you add in Tucker to go with Will Smith and Teoscar. And by the way, they got clutch plays from Pages and Rojas last year in that playoff run. But the guy that really carried them, that doesn't get enough love still, is Yamamoto. What Yamamoto did was insane. And I do believe it's asking a lot for him to duplicate that if they're going to win it. And again, you're giving me the field or that team. I know they are great. And their over-under total, which we'll get to later on in the show, is unbelievable. It's outrageously high, over triple digits, and they're more than 12, I think, than the rest of the field. But I'm going to say they get back and lose the heartbreaker in 6 or 7 this time to Seattle, as opposed to winning it. I just three-peating is hard to do. It hasn't happened since the Yankees, and we know when the Yankees were going for the 4-peat, what happened. It was the greatest World Series ending of all time in 2001, thanks to Luis Gonzalez's bloop single off Mariano Rivera and over the head of Derek Jeter to bring the Snakes an epic World Series trophy to the desert.
I remember least watched World Series. And
no, it wasn't. Don't lie to the audience. It was an awesome World Series.
No, go back and look up the statistics. It was, I think there was like 19 people in the East Coast watching the game.
Oh, no, it was an all-timer. Our last one before we do, will there be a lockout in 2027?
If they don't start talking now, and they're not yet, but I hear they're supposed to, my answer is a definite yes, because the owners are dead set on getting some kind of cap salary. And the players said, no way, don't even lead with it. So right there, right off the bat, the number one issue, both teams are putting up wall. And I don't understand why they didn't start talking about this past summer or before, knowing here comes the deadline. They do this all the time in sports. They don't start talking until it's towards the end, and they do it on purpose so that it puts pressure on whoever, whatever. But I'm telling you, I don't see the players budging on this. They do not want the cap at all. And they just feel that you're holding our salaries down. We see what's going on in other sports, but it's needed. And something has to happen. The idea of a floor cap for these teams that aren't spending money, to raise it up so that you have to spend X amount of money to get these people. But to me right now, as we sit here right now, I say yes to a lockout in 27.
Well, and we had Tim Kirkchin on the show a little more than a month ago, and he didn't sound too optimistic, and he loves baseball more than anybody else on the planet. And, he would hate to see it, but I'm with you. I don't think it's promising. So there could be more a flurry of activity and more players being moved at the deadline with the franchises realizing that, you know what, you're not going to probably have baseball next year potentially. So we shall see. We'll keep our fingers crossed it doesn't happen, but I fear it's going to happen. We've got more coming your way, including over-under picks. It's on the way right here on 757 Sports Talk, our baseball preview edition. And you're watching with us on COVA Sports TV.
And now back to Matthew Hatfield and the evil basketball coach. Blast you, Ed Young!
Back here with the evil basketball coach, Ed Young. I am Matthew Hatfield as we continue our Major League Baseball preview for 2026. Season already underway, and it's now time, Edward, for our over-under selections. But before we do that, we have to revisit how 2025 did. So would you like to tell the audience what the screen shows there?
Shows that I got beat in the bottom of the ninth on a controversial call by referee Joe West.
Umpire. He's not a referee. And by the way, there are going to be robo-umps. Yeah, and number two, you didn't get beaten in the ninth. You didn't get beaten in the ninth if I was off to a 4-0 start and my D-backs, who were in the playoff hunt, fizzled yet again. Mets as an under was a winner. A's as an over was a winner. Astros as an under was a winner. And the Reds as an over was a winner. So he'll copy about 3 or 4 of these, ladies and gents. Meanwhile, Coach Young had the Royals just lost it by so much. The Blue Jays as an over was a winner, as was Tampa Bay an under and San Diego as an over. And he lost the Cubbies as an under and won a little more than he thought. So, KC, you were that close to being 4-1 in time. He just didn't quite get it. So, since I won, I get to go first. How about them apples? And my first selection for the over-under, I'm going to go to the American League. You heard me in the open segment talk about Seattle Mariners. I like their team. You know, look, they've got thumpers. They're one of the teams that can lose a thumper like a Suarez, but you still got a Rosarena, Raleigh, Naylor for a whole year. I think they have the pitching depth. I think they'll make a move if they have to. I think that division is down. So give me Seattle over 89.5 as selection numero uno. You're up for 2 picks, Edward. Are you going to go American League?
I'm going to go American League. Team we know very well. I said earlier they're going back. Give me Toronto. I think they'll get 90 at least. I think they're 89.5.
88.5.
88.5. I think they get 90. Toronto over.
All right. And it looks like you're going to go probably in that same division for an under, aren't you?
Yeah, I do this every year with these guys. I don't know, probably because of the big rivalry. They lost some good people. Our buddy Brandon Lau was traded out, and everybody seemed to improve. But then Tampa Bay under 76.5, I think it is.
Yes, that is the number. And their starting rotation is not exactly a who's for opening day to start the season off. I mean, we're talking about guys like Drew Rasmussen, Joe Boyle, Steven Matz, Nick Martinez, and Shane McClanahan. They do make the most, of what they have, but they're going to need Cedric Mullins, who they acquired, to be a big addition. You mentioned Lau leaving. He's now with the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Nansman River product. So I'm going to go with the Pirates over 78.5. Why will they have the Cy Young favorite in the National League in Paul Skeens? That's a big deal. Now, they're going to have the young kid who's going to be a phenom, one of the top prospects in the sport. He's going to join them later in the season. He's going to start the season off with them. But we're talking about the shortstop, who they're extremely, extremely high on, and for good reason. And that, of course, being Mr. Griffin there, Connor Griffin. But you add Marcelo Zuna, Ryan O'Hearn, Lau to that lineup to go with Brian Reynolds, O'Neill Cruz. I think they have enough pitching with Jose Urquidy coming over to help out Mitch Keller, Paul Skeens. Bullpen scares me, but I like the Pirates as an over there. And then another one I'm going to take for you here. I'm going to go with an under. You know, I have mad love for the broadcaster, the Ford C. Frick Award winner, Tom Hamilton. Jose Ramirez, Stephen Kwan are great, but I wonder if they'll keep Kwan and that whole cloud, the whole gambling cloud last year with Emmanuel Clase. I don't know how they did it, but the Guardians somehow, some way keep winning with very little offense to speak of outside of Ramirez and Kwan. They do have some young kids that they're hyping up, like Chase DeLauder, who they hope to have a healthy year with. But the Guardians, the number is low at 79.5. I'm not sure they get through this year. They fire off. They've had some injuries to that pitching staff, too. Their bullpen's been lights out the last couple of years. But I'm going to go the Guardians as an under at 79.5. I'm not sure they get there this year after winning back-to-back division titles.
Well, I'm going to match your Pirates. I'm going with Cincy, the Reds, because one of us is going to win, I think, and one of us is going to lose. Those two teams are going to be feeding off each other. St. Louis is way down. Milwaukee might be on their way down. I think the Cubs win that division. but I think Cincy can get up to the top and stir the pot with Francona running the show. I love Cruz dearly. Pitching, I don't know about the pitching. Hunter Green starts out on the injured list, if I'm not mistaken. So that could be detrimental. I think he's their ace. But I think there are, if I get my notes right, they are Cincy 80.5.
Yeah, and they won 83 last year. And they bring in Suarez, who had the 49 home runs, to go with De La Cruz's speed and electricity. Cabrian Hayes, a great fielder at third base. If their pitching gives them anything, Francona will find a way to mix and match it and make it work.
I would get, as Barkley says, I'm going to guarantee it. They're at least going to go 500, 81. Really, I think they have a winning record this year.
Okay, so you go over with the Reds. Another National League pick for us, sir. You going to the East?
I'm going to the East. You said earlier losing Castellanos is going to hurt them. I don't think they'll even miss a beat. Philly in the 90s. They're 89.5. I say 90 for sure.
Well, they need Aaron Nola to have a bounce back year because he was not great a season ago. They do still have those big boppers and names like Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber and Trey Turner, and they did bring in Adolis Garcia from Texas, which is a big deal. And that transitions me into, after you pick the Reds and Phillies as an over, to another under back in the American League. I'm thinking a lot of AL teams, and I'm going with the Texas Rangers. They lose Garcia, who meant a lot to their run to a World Series championship a couple years back with Bruce Bochy. He's no longer the skipper there in Texas. They did bring in Brandon Nimmo from the Mets, but after Seager and Peterson and Berger, I'm not sure that lineup has the depth to it. They do have some big-name pitchers, certainly, with Jacob deGrom and Nathan Eovaldi, but if one of those guys goes down and deGrom's got a history of injuries, they're in big trouble. I'm going to go under 83.5 for the Texas Rangers. And my last selection here in the over-unders to go with the Mariners as an over, Guardians as an under, Pirates as an over, and Texas as an under. I'm going to the American League Central with the Detroit Tigers. They blew that big lead in the division last year, but then they ousted the Guardians and had that classic 5-game wild card round series. Look, I should say divisional round series. I think Detroit, with their rotation, with their arms, obviously Tarek Skubal, this is probably his last year there. He's probably not coming back, but I think the Tigers will go for it. I think they learned something from what happened last year. Torkelson and Green are young guys they can build that lineup around, and getting Framber Valdez to go with Skubal, Flaherty, Verlander, probably his swan song. Look, they have the pitching. I think Detroit's going to win 90 games. I like their chances. That is my last one for them to go over 85.5.
And you talked about Mr. Connor Griffin, a young phenom for the Pirates. How about Kevin McConnell for the Tigers?
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't strike out much. Very mature for a young kid in terms of hitting. And he puts the ball all over the field. He's a shortstop that I don't think he's going to start the year with them, but he's going to be up quick.
He might. Yeah, but he's talented.
It's a lot of good rookies. And I heard somebody say today, look for a lot of big names to be traded because people want to look at their rookies. But on the other hand, what are we doing about the lockout? They may want to keep them down there because, they don't want to put them on. Some of them may not be on a 40-man roster. Once they put them on there, clock ticking, service rendered, and can end up losing them quicker. So it's going to be an interesting dynamic because of the CBA this year in baseball that I think is going to take a lot of note from people to see which way that's going to go. My last one, and I think I'm on my way already because I hear they're losing to my Yankees as we speak. Give me the Giants under 82.5 because they're going to have one tonight.
Well, full disclosure, if you're watching this later, we're recording this on opening night, March the 25th on a Wednesday. So for those that are watching this on Saturday or on our television rerun or replay, you'll know why. As Ed puts his hands up.
What I should say is I'm confident the Yankees will beat the Giants in the opening game. So
unless he chucks devices at his television while it's on Netflix later because they blew a 5-0 lead. So there you have it. Edwards going with the Rays as an under, the Giants as an under, but he has some overs with the Jays, the Reds, and the Phils. Meanwhile, going back to mine, I've got, trying to follow up my 4-1 campaign. He was 3-1. That's right, 3-2 last year. He was Seattle, Detroit, and Pittsburgh as overs. That Pittsburgh one does scare me a little bit. And Cleveland and Texas unders, a couple of teams that have been in the World Series or ALCS in recent campaigns. That closes out the MLB over-unders. It is 757 Sports Talk, and you're watching with us all the time on Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and always subscribe.
Did you know that the minimum limits in Virginia are $30,000? $30,000 is a lot of money on an individual basis, but if you're involved in a personal injury matter, that's not enough. Here at Williams-Deloitte, we're happy to provide a consultation on the amount of coverage you have in your vehicle. It can be confusing. Not many people understand it. You know you need to have it, but do you have enough? Give us a call today at 757-547-5555 so we can help you prepare in the case of an automobile accident or any other personal injury matter that you or your family may find yourself in.
For any athlete, making it to the top sometimes comes with a few steps back. That's why there's CHKD Sports Medicine. Advanced diagnostics, treatment, and rehabilitation for sports injuries, just for young athletes like yours.
What's up at DQ? Oh, just the best deal ever. The $7 bacon cheeseburger meal deal. Bacon cheeseburger, fries, drink, and a sundae. No time to be modest. It's all full size for just $7. Right now at DQ. Happy tastes good.
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. And if you're like me, you need help. Help to keep that donation as small as possible. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service. 455-6763.
As a banker at Town Bank, we believe that people bank with people, not with banks. You're looking for an actual personal relationship, and that's what you get at our bank. You get that person that gets to know you, gets to know your business, is there for you. I think that is what motivates us, what drives us. And the idea that we are trying to serve others and enrich lives, I think is very true.
What makes a life a good one? Is it our adventures? Or the friends we find along the way? Is it the challenges we conquer together? Maybe it's the people's lives we touch every single day. So, what makes a life a good one? You'll have to figure that one out for yourself.
After more than 50 years of innovation, AstroTurf still leads the way. The inventor of artificial turf does it all, right here in the USA. We engineer, test, manufacture, and install the world's most innovative fibers and turf technologies, with over 30,000 tracks and fields worldwide. AstroTurf, powered by Sport Group.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
And we welcome you back to 757 Sports Talk on this particular Saturday edition of the program. Last one of March 2026. Coach Ed Young, who's got his microphone muted over there. He'll have to unmute himself. I am Matthew Hatfield. Coach, you got to hit the unmute button so he can hear you. Can you hear me? There we go. Oh, he figured it out. How's life treating you?
2 clicks and I'm ready to go. I didn't want the microphone on as I was busy watching what was happening on the show.
You said 2 clicks. And it used to be 2 claps. Was it a Ric Flair? What is it? Woo!
Woo, yeah, Ric Flair. Woo, yeah.
2 claps and a woo with Ric Flair. College basketball. This is a great time of year, March Madness. And Ed, we are now at the Elite 8. There's the bracket. We got Dan Bonner coming up here in a little less than 15 minutes on the show. Got some ones left in Duke, Arizona, Michigan. No surprise there. But the Big Ten populating this bracket because not only is Michigan and Purdue there, but the Hawkeyes of Iowa and the Illini of Illinois. It means the Big Ten's making up half of the Elite 8, with Arizona from the Big 12, Duke from the ACC, UConn from the Big East, Tennessee from the SEC. Lowest seed left, it's Iowa the 9, followed by Tennessee the 6. And we look at what transpired in the last round of games in the Sweet 16, if you will, of this tournament. we really didn't get – we got a couple of good games to start things off on Thursday night with the down to the wire finish of Purdue, Texas, 79-77, and then Iowa, which didn't lead until 2.5 minutes to go in the game. They get a triple to go in front, and they win that game 77-71. Bennett Sturtz, who's a projected first-rounder for them, but Nebraska left for most of that game. And then Illinois beats Houston by double figures. Arizona clobbers Arkansas by 19. And then on Friday, the game that was billed to be the big one, much like last weekend, was St. John's and Kansas. St. John's and Duke, it delivered, as in Michigan State, UConn, 4-point game, and then double-figure wins for Michigan over Bama and Tennessee over Iowa State. There's some chalk, but it's been some compelling action in any way you slice it, because we've gotten some big matchups, and they haven't, I wouldn't say, disappointed too much.
No, I agree. I think the tournament has been good in terms of the second round on. We had some blowouts in the first round, but you're going to have that. The common thing here is you can't go lax, especially offensively, which I think St. John's did a little bit. Houston, definitely. You can't go lax on something, whether it be your offense, whether it be Texas at your foul line, defensively. You can't have breakdowns defensively. Arkansas, because who you're playing is going to take advantage of that real quick. Mm-hmm. And the talk is about the Big Ten. It's possible, if I remember looking at the brackets correctly that you just put up, you could have 3 Big Ten teams in the Final Four.
I don't think that you can pose that question to Dan Bonner. We threw it to Mike DeCourcy last week from the Sporting News, Fox Sports Network, and Big Ten Network. I don't think that means the Big Ten is necessarily better than the SEC or Big 12. It's been a lot of the bracket. Again, Iowa plays Nebraska. Someone from the Big Ten is going to win because they're playing each other. Now you can say, well, Illinois beat Houston. I think the 2 surprises were the 2 Big 12 2 seeds going out, Houston and Iowa State. And in the case, like Mike DeCourcy brought up last week, Ed, injuries have impacted this entire tournament, good, bad, or indifferent. I mean, Duke gets Caleb Foster back at point guard. Without Caleb Foster's 11 points in the second half, I don't care what anybody says, they do not beat St. John's. That's a credit to Duke. He stepped up, rose to the occasion to complement what Cameron Boozer, a top 10 projected pick, and Caleb Evans, their top outside shooter, brought them. But, I'm sorry, not Caleb Evans, Isaiah Evans, their top outside shooter, brought them. But at the end of the day, you look at these injuries the Big 12 schools have had. Richie Saunders from BYU, Toppin from Texas Tech. We go to Joshua Jefferson from Iowa State. Those guys being out hurt those teams, compromised them a great deal. And Caleb Wilson, North Carolina, they certainly don't blow a 19-point lead, you wouldn't think, without Caleb Wilson. With Caleb Wilson, they blew that lead. It doesn't happen that way. And, of course, Hubert Davis now without a job at Carolina. But those injuries have impacted some. I think the Big Ten teams for years got criticized for how they performed in the Big Dance. You remember a lot of those Big Ten teams would get knocked out early. Michigan State 1 year by Middle Tennessee. Purdue had its tournament failures. We all remember Fairleigh Dickinson. It's just sometimes in a matchup or style thing. And you brought up the breakdowns. Arkansas had it defensively. So did St. John's, the bully ball that Duke played. But that's sometimes how the cookie crumbles here. And I think the talented teams are rising to the top in the big names, the Arizonas, the Michigans. And then we're seeing a couple of these teams where it's just they look worn down late in these games. They've broken down, be it, like you said, offensively or defensively. So that's kind of how it's going. Derek asks a good question. Will Norfolk host any future tournament games? The last time was the women in 2010. I haven't heard that, Derek, but we can tell you, we'll be talking more about this on the show in the coming days and weeks and months, that there is a new, sort of like the Portsmouth Invitational basketball tournament, but coming next year to Norfolk will be a new women's basketball tournament that will be like the PIT, and it's going to be hosted here, the hub in Norfolk at Old Dominion. So there'll be more info about that. There's a big press conference coming next month, so stay tuned on some of the deets, as we say, the deets, that's the details, Ed, on that out there coming up for next year. And, they say good-looking shirt for you, Coach. Wouldn't you know? Smithfield High, I like your shirt.
It's good stuff, baby. It's good stuff.
You've worn that 14 of the last 17 Saturdays. I hope you've washed it plenty of times.
I got more than I'm like you. I have more than one shirt.
Oh, unlike me. No, I have more than one shirt. That's not
well,
fair.
That Arizona shirt right there, if you take it off and put it on the couch.
No, this is fresh out of the wash. I haven't worn it since literally last baseball season. This is fresh.
And it is a good time for you to wear it because early in the season, and Arizona's only 0-1 right now. So
0-2. 0-2. Get it right.
Okay,
0-2.
so
Lost a heartbreaker last night. Lost a heartbreaker last night. Got clobbered the night before. Yeah.
Another week to wear it and then put it away because like everybody else in the West out there, everybody's going to chase the almighty Dodgers. So everybody's playing for second place.
Everybody's chasing the almighty Dodgers. I've got a great stat. I wanted to save it for when Dan Bonner came on, but I'm gonna let it out now so that you'll probably steal it when we bring Dan on, and I'll just get mad at you for stealing my question. So, of the 8 Sweet 16 games, how many games do you think the winning team out-rebounded its opponent?
Okay, now of the 8 that are in there now, how many of them out-rebounded?
Okay, let me recap again. Your bracket, if you don't have the bracket in front of you, you had in the DC region, the East, you had Duke St. John's, Michigan State, UConn. Of course, the 1 and 2's won with Duke and UConn. In the South, the Houston bracket, Houston, which was the top team left, the 2 seed, they lost to Illinois, the 3. The 4, Nebraska lost to Iowa, the 9. In San Jose, the West, you had the 1 and 2 seeds move on with Arizona bouncing out 4 seed Arkansas, Purdue the 2, eliminating 11 seed Texas in a close one. And in the Chicago Midwest bracket, you had the 1 seed Michigan ousting the 4 seed Alabama in a high scoring head spinning game, while the 6 seed Tennessee upended the 2 seed Iowa State. Of those 8 games, how many times do you think the winning team out-rebounded the losing team?
You said it's a surprising statistic, so it's not.
I didn't say it was surprising. I just said it's interesting.
I'm going to go and say 3.
Only 3 times. It was actually 6. The 2 that didn't out-rebounded the opponent, the losing team, by 9. Michigan State out-rebounded UConn by 9. Had a 19-point deficit, made it up, and then lost it late with some big shot making from Alex Caravan and then some clutch free throws from Terrace Reed Jr. And then Nebraska, which was up almost the entire game against Iowa, out-rebounded the Hawkeyes by 9. Both teams hit a lot of threes. Nebraska cooled off in the second half, if you remember, in that game because they shot in the first half out of their minds. They were 58% from the floor, 7 of 14 from deep. They cooled off for the game to 42%, 13 of 38 from 3, while Iowa was 13 of 30 and shot almost 52% from the floor. But the ones that won, Tennessee, plus 21 on the glass against ISU. Arizona, plus 2 on the glass against Arkansas, scored triple digits. Michigan, plus 14 on the glass. They pounded Bama on the boards after Bama came out red hot, shooting the ball. Michigan, plus 14, I mentioned. You had in addition to Michigan, Duke plus 13 on the glass against St. John's. Michigan was plus 14 on Bama. Arizona was plus 2 on Arkansas. Excuse me, I'm looking at it backwards here. Purdue plus 1 on the boards against Texas, and Illinois plus 9 on the glass against Houston, which couldn't buy a shot in the second half. That Houston team looked, I hate to say it, I don't want to keep criticizing them, but Kelvin Sampson's been so close, and my goodness, I thought his team had a no-show in a lot of ways. But yeah, so those were the boards that really told the story there. The rebounding told a lot of the story.
Well, they always say if you out-rebound your opponent, you've got a greater chance to win. You're getting the ball more. But really it comes down to making shots. You got to make shots. You got to get enough shots, which goes back to if you get the rebounds more, so you're going to get more shots. Mm-hmm. Offensive glass. If you dominate the offensive glass, meaning get your missed shots, you're getting second, third chance opportunities to score because it comes down to scoring. I'm a coach for years and years and years. We also talk about hardcore defense. Defense wins championships. All that stuff is nice. The bottom line in basketball, team with most points wins. So you got to score points. And usually when it comes down to you got the bigger, stronger guys, you're going to get more rebounds. It just comes down to that. Michigan losing as they did, up 19. They are dominating.
Michigan State. Yeah. Right, Michigan, please. Yeah.
Michigan State. And to come back and then lose again, a little disappointing. I'm an Izzo fan. Not that I dislike UConn or Danny Hurley. I just like to see Izzo move on. That was surprising. But UConn.
They're out of gas. They got tired late. I think they got tired late.
And UConn's a physical team too. UConn could fit into the Big Ten as a basketball entity. They would be able to fit into Big Ten the way they play.
Well, and I wonder if they had that second post for Duke here. But you see the imposing size and athleticism and talent for Arizona, which can rotate 4 or 5, bodies on the front line. Duke, Michigan, those big three. And then even Illinois, a lot of European flavor to go with Boswell and Keaton Vogler. They have some huge bodies, which is going to matter a ton as we get ready for these Elite Eight games coming up. And we're going to take a timeout. When we come back, we got one of the best in the business. He's a Virginia Sports Hall of Famer. Went in last year, and he's from the Commonwealth of Virginia. We're talking about Dan Bonner is going to stop by to talk about the college basketball tournament. He's been broadcasting, I think, every tournament since the mid-'80s. He'll set us straight on all that and how cool it is to do those games. He was in Tampa last week with Tom McCarthy for Iowa, Florida Ed, as well as the Texas Tech-Alabama game. So he'll tell us about what he thinks with the Hawkeyes matchup coming up today against the Illini. That's one of our 2 Elite Eight games we have today. The other one, of course, involving 1 seed Arizona and Purdue, the 2 seed. Tomorrow's games, Duke, UConn. That's a classic tomorrow. And, of course, Michigan taking on Tennessee. Will Rick Barnes get the Vols to the Final Four? It's all coming your way for this quick timeout. You're watching 757 Sports Talk with us right here on Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and always subscribe. Back in just a moment.
What makes a life a good one? Is it our adventures? Or the friends we find along the way? Is it the challenges we conquer together? Maybe it's the people's lives we touch every single day. So, what makes a life a good one? You'll have to figure that one out for yourself.
What is more? Is it more reps, more strength, more stamina? We say it's all of that, but it's greater than just what's in the mirror. It's about improving your mental and physical health. More is a feeling of achievement, fulfillment, confidence. It's looking better, feeling better, being better, and it's our mission to get you there. Because here, you are more. One Life Fitness.
Portco is your local nonprofit organization dedicated to economic empowerment through employment for people with disabilities. We focus on abilities, not limitations, providing on-the-job vocational support. Find your pathway to employment. Contact us or learn more at portco.org.
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. And if you're like me, you need help. Help to keep that donation as small as possible. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service. 455-6763.
And now back to Matthew Hatfield and the evil basketball coach. Blast you, Ed Young!
And welcome back to 757 Sports Talk. Like, share, and subscribe to Cova Sports TV, where Ed, we have a special guest with us. He's from the Commonwealth of Virginia. He's done some coaching before, too, by the way, much like you. And, of course, he was a heck of a player back in his day, University of Virginia. He hails from in the Pennsylvania area, though, all-state basketball player, MPA, and he's been doing the NCAA basketball tournament as part of the coverage for CBS Sports going back to the 1980s. I think his first one was 1986, was in Tampa last week for those second round of 32 matchups. We are now pleased to be joined by Dan Bonner on the program. Dan, happy March. We have a couple of days left before the calendar turns to April. How you been?
I've been just fine, thank you. I'm ready for it to be spring, though. I'm tired of this cold weather.
We all are. But you were in Tampa last week. If I told you were going to watch Iowa, Florida, Alabama, Texas Tech, and the last team of those four standing on Elite Eight weekend would be the Hawkeyes, the number 9 seed, after ousting the defending champion Gators, what would you have told me going in?
Well, I wouldn't have called you anything. One of the fabulous things about the NCAA tournament is that you never know. I think if Iowa and Florida were going to play a 7-game series, Florida would win that 7-game series. Maybe Iowa would only win 1 game or 2. But it's the tournament. You only have to win 1 game. And that's what Iowa did. And Then they went to play Nebraska, and of course Nebraska, they had already beaten Nebraska once during the year. They played a couple of really good games. So yes, I'm surprised that Iowa was the team that advanced, but it's the NCAA tournament, and you really have to keep your surprise in check because that surprises happen all the time.
For sure. And I'm sure Coach will chat with you here in a moment about some of the coaching X's and O's part of this tournament. Also, you going in the Virginia Sports Hall of Fame, which was a richly deserved honor a year ago, and your broadcasting career here with CBS and all the great partners you've had over the years of the tournament. But I'm curious, I brought it up a little while ago on the show, of the 8 Sweet 16 games, Dan, we've had, 6 of the winners out-rebounded the opposition. Some wide rebounding margins with Tennessee plus 21 on the glass against Iowa State, Michigan plus 14 on the boards, and its win over Alabama. The only 2 that got out-rebounded and advanced were Iowa by 9 against Nebraska and Michigan State out-rebounding UConn by 9. What's that tell you? Is it about size more than even guard play this time of year? We always hear about guards dictating the flow or determining things. Big men matter too, don't they?
Well, big men have always mattered, even during we're sort of away from that thing that guards are the only thing that counts in college basketball. But, rebounding is just a stat unless you put the ball in the basket. And all rebounding is a way to get the ball. There's only a couple ways in a basketball game to get the ball, and rebounding is one of them, one of the most important. And the reason the ball is important is you can't score without it. And when you come right down to it, that's if you score more than the other guys, then you win the game. So, yeah, rebounding is important. Big guys are important. But the most important stat, the most important thing in a basketball game is the score, and you need to have the ball to do that.
Absolutely. We're chatting with Dan Bonner, CBS Sports, college basketball here, getting ready for Elite 8 matchups today, which include Iowa, Illinois, Arizona, Purdue. Dan, a member of the Virginia Sports Hall of Fame at 757 Sports Talk on Cove, the Sports TV, Ed.
Dan, first of all, thank you for coming on. To get you is tremendous, and I know your time is limited because everybody wants you. I'm intrigued. Matt gave me your bio and everything, and I don't understand this. I didn't know you were from Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh guy. I'm Clearfield, Central Pennsylvania, about an hour east of Pittsburgh, and you're talking about cold weather. Come on now. We grew up where you had to walk 3 miles in the snow with the snow to your hip. So why are you worried about cold weather?
Uphill both ways, Ed. Let's be clear. Yeah. But, I'm tired of it. I came down to Virginia to go to school, and I've stayed, and, it's spring. We've already had the equinox, right? So it's time for the cold weather to be gone. If you're in Pittsburgh or Chicago, you deserve that, but I'm not. I'm here.
It's one more thing before we get back into hoops. I talked to my brother who lives up in Central PA. He said, how's things going down? I said, Carl, we just experienced the 4 seasons in a matter of 5 days in the Tidewater area. It was 88 degrees one day. 2 days later, it was snowing. And then we had tornado warnings a couple days later. And then it was just sunny, but cold as can be. So I said, we've already had all 4 seasons, so I don't know what's next.
Hopefully spring and summer, Ed.
That's what I want. Give me those 80-degree days and nice cool breeze the whole year. I like snow 2 days, Christmas Eve and Christmas. That's it. Dan, let's get back into the tournament. Matt and I were talking before you came on. We did talk about rebounding teams bigger. And if you do notice, Illinois would be one type of team I look at. There are a lot of teams with some big people. Arizona, who I think right now is just dominant. So it's kind of like we don't have the old come down, post up, throw it inside. But it is kind of like a return to the big men in a way, because you watch these teams moving on.
Well, it is. The big guys are more important. I mean, we fluctuate. We go back and forth. Everybody fell in love with the three-point line, and you need to be able to score from 3, although Arizona would indicate that maybe that's not true. They scored 109 points the other night and only made 5 threes. But, everybody talks about all these analytics. You only want to take threes and layups and free throws and that kind of stuff. And I think eventually you get back, Ed, and this. The idea is, get a good shot. And if you can get a good shot, then you have a chance. You have a higher percentage chance to score. So, the big guys are back involved. A lot of them are very mobile. That giant kid from Michigan, Mara, he doesn't shoot threes. He's not really all that mobile, but he's mobile enough. And, 7'3". that's pretty difficult to deal with. And the other thing, Ed, you know as well as I do, in this era, the charge has basically disappeared from college basketball. You know, if you're driving to the basket now, it's like the old days. Nobody's trying to draw charge. They're trying to block your shot. And the big guys you have in the middle, they really help you defensively.
Good point on that. Now, I'd switch over to coaching because, being a long time coach myself, I like the matchups. I said last night as I watched Michigan State, UConn, I love Danny Hurley, but Tom Izzo's my guy. And I kind of hate to see him go by the wayside. You're a longtime coach yourself, and you've done so many of these games over the years. Do you, when they start doing matchups, especially as you get past that first round, do you tend to look at the coaching and who's coaching and how much emphasis you put on that, or is it pretty much the guys out there in the uniforms playing?
Well, there's a lot of really wonderful coaches, and obviously coaching is an extremely important aspect. There are guys that they could coach the same team and one team would do better and the other guy wouldn't do as well. So coaching matters, but the most important thing is the players. I found it funny. Somebody asked me the other day what I thought about the coaching matchup with Dan Hurley and Tom Izzo, and then the coaching matchup with John Shire and Rick Pitino. And I said, well, if those guys were going to play, I think the younger guys have an advantage. And all the things that coaches do, they can't play. And so the thing is, your guys have to play. It's been a long time since, maybe since Bill Russell was the player coach of the Celtics, that our coach has scored a basket or, made a free throw. So everybody's all over Hubert Davis, for the facts that North Carolina collapsed in the first round. Well, the guys went cold. They didn't make any shots. And there's nothing Hubert Davis can do about that. So, yeah, I consider the coaching matchups mainly from a personal standpoint is, part of my responsibility is to deal with the coaches before the game. And some guys are easier to deal with than others. And I'm always happy when it's one of those people who is easy to deal with.
No doubt about it. We're chatting with Dan Bonner, CBS Sports, longtime voice of the tournament with so many great members of the media here on 757 Sports Talk on Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe. Let's dive in on a couple of games today and then the ones tomorrow, and then we'll let you roll here after we chat about also going to the Hall of Fame for you last year. Dan, you got to see Iowa up close and personal, so you know what a job McCollum has done there. And Bennett Sturtz, tell the audience what you see from this team in their matchup with Illinois, which presents some size issues. They have to deal with Vogler, but Sturtz didn't shoot it well against Florida, and they still won in spite of it, which I think is a credit to the coaching staff and those supporting cast guys around them, isn't it?
He is, Iowa is more than Sturtz. Sturtz is the key guy. And even in a game where he does not score well, I don't think you can say against Florida he didn't play well. He had the ball in his hands 80% of the time. And, if he gave up the ball, they always were looking to get it back to him. So he's the key to everything they do. And I think the main reason he's the key, he is totally unflappable. There's nothing that goes on in the game that seems to bother him. He just keeps coming at you. And when he needs to make a play, he makes a play. That last, Ed, you would appreciate that last out of bounds play where they got the ball down the court in 4.4 seconds against Florida, who, by the way, couldn't do the same thing with 4.5 seconds and to get that guy that wide open three. That was all Bennett Sturtz. They threw the ball in bounds to him. He turned and he had the wherewithal to throw that ball after he made the other guys commit. He took off, the other guys had to go to him, and he found the open man in the corner. So everything revolves around him, although, of course, there are much more. But I'll tell you something. Everybody talks about how we don't have Cinderella. Well, 4 of those guys in the Iowa starting lineup played at Drake last year. And he's got 2 more guys. One he signed at Drake, and one of the guys who comes off the bench came from Drake. So they got 6 guys on that team who weren't good enough to play at Iowa, but are now. And then the guy that made the winning shot against Florida, heck, he transferred from Robert Morris. So you want to know where the mid-majors are and where Cinderella is? Well, the mid-majors and Cinderella are both at Iowa.
It's a great point. How about the other game? It's number 1 seed Arizona, and it's Purdue. Trey Kaufman-Renn was the hero with that tip in. Braden Smith, I know you have to really appreciate and love him, Dan. Just one of those guards that's old school, sets the record for assists. Fletcher Lawyers made some big shots. And then Arizona's got those fabulous freshmen, Burries and Pete. I mean, this could be a real classic game. I think people look at Arizona's athleticism and say, oh, that's going to be too much for Purdue. But Purdue's got a lot of experience in metal.
Purdue does. They have struggled at times this year with teams that are very athletic, and so that's going to be a problem for them. But I think they were deservedly the preseason #1 team. The thing I think that's going to be the biggest problem for them is, as I look at this tournament, I see Arizona as the most complete team. And I think if Arizona played a 7-game series against any of the teams remaining, Arizona would win that series. But as I said before, we're not playing 7 games, we're playing 1. And Purdue has at times this year when they are at full efficiency, they're as good as any team in the country. So again, this has a chance to be a really, really good game. I favor Arizona in this game, but you can't count out Purdue. They've got too many veteran players, and they've been there, done that. And so I'm really looking forward to that matchup, as I am to all of them.
Ed?
Then we look at these 8, and the team I think right now that's of the 8 left that's not getting hardly any publicity or talk, which I'm sure Coach Barnes would like that, it's Tennessee. What's your set? And they're playing one of the so-called big favorites, Michigan coming into it. What's your assessment on Tennessee?
Well, Tennessee, typically with Rick Barnes, he's got his guys playing about as well as they've played all year right now. And that's what you need to be able to do. And yes, they have a very tough matchup in Michigan. Michigan is big, they're physical. But Tennessee is very physical as well. I would never count out Tennessee. You know, that Iman kid can really play. Jacoby Gillespie has had a heck of a year. Now they've got their hands full. But I think sometimes, and hadn't been very many times, but a couple of times this year when Michigan has struggled, it's been because people have really been able to take Elliot Cadeau out of his game. And I think that maybe Tennessee is equipped to do that. Again, that has a chance to be a pretty good game.
Yeah. And it seems that, again, when you start getting past that first and second round, and Matt and I talked about this again earlier too today, is what I'm noticing is you can't go into a lapse. Houston didn't score. Arkansas's defense went wayside as Arizona hit everything. Rebounding. You've got to be able to get, as you said, you got to get the ball. The more times you get the ball, the more you got to score. Do you, as a person that's watching the game and analyzing, is it something that you see too that, again, especially against these better teams, you cannot go into that lapse? During the regular season, you might be able to take care of it against certain teams, but it seems as you move on to the tournament, some part of the game, you definitely cannot go into a lapse.
Well, no question. Just look at last night's game. Michigan State got behind, 25-6? Then they battled back and they had a chance to win the game, but they only made 4 out of 16 from the 3-point range. And when that Michigan State, they need to make more than that to be at their best. So when you're playing against the really good teams, not the teams that you might play in November when you're trying to build up your net, but when you're playing the elite teams, you have to play well. And that means you have to play well throughout the game. And you still might not be able to win. But if you have one of those stretches where the other guys go on some big run, that's awfully difficult to make up.
And last, before we finish up with you in the Hall of Fame from a year ago, Dan, Duke taking on UConn. The experience of UConn with Caravan and Taurus Reed was just a monster in that round of 64 win. And then Duke with it. You've seen a lot of these ACC teams for many, many years. What John Shire's done here with the Boozer twins. You have Caleb Foster coming back in the lineup. I heard Rick Pitino in his post-game presser talk about they just bullied us down the stretch. St. John's did such a wonderful job for much of that game. But I really thought the X factor was getting Foster back in the lineup, which is unheard of. For that injury to come back in at the point guard position, that's going to be big, I think, who protects the ball well, because these two, it feels like they're so evenly matched in a lot of ways.
Well, they are. And the thing about this particular game is these two teams, Duke and UConn, their programs have 11 national championships between them. And so that makes them hateful because they make fans from every other team think winning the national championship is an easy thing to do. But it's not. It's hard to win a game in this tournament, much less win the championship. But these guys, they make it look easy. UConn, they've got experience. They're really a bunch of tough guys, Taurus Reed yesterday, he's 59% free throw shooter. He makes 4 free throws in a row to win the game. They've got guys who make winning plays. And Duke, I mean, they have been really good all year long. Nobody's figured out what to do with Cameron Boozer, no matter what people do to him. He's got 15 points. He's got 10 rebounds. He makes big plays. I thought the two keys for Duke yesterday, and what was a really good game, is Evans scored 24, 25 points. And Foster, not only coming off the bench, but coming out of, he was on a scooter before the game to score 11 points. I thought that was really critical. And Duke has to get contributions from everybody. It can't be just Cam Boozer. But I think Duke, they've proven their mettle. This will be a really, really good game. But, I like the Duke Blue Devils.
Amazing. You ever had a kid come in a game off a scooter all your years coaching high school ball?
No, I've never seen anything like that. I mean, the kid had surgery on his broken foot, 2 weeks ago? Who does that? To be young again. Good heavens. If I had surgery on a broken foot, I'd be laid up for a year.
Hey, Dan, before we do get you out of here on the Hall of Fame, I did have one question I want to jump in before the Hall of Fame thing for you. It's on a lot of people's mind because it is the blue blood program. Carolina tells Hubert Davis, we got to move on. And now it's all kind of wild speculation. Everybody in the world is a candidate. And then it's guys saying, nope, I'm not a candidate. Nate Oates just came out and said about it, all kind of things. What have you kind of heard about it, or maybe what direction they would go? And apparently it looks like it's not going to be somebody from the UNC family, which is the thing they've usually done, and it would be outside. But usually I don't think it's going to be no assistant coach moving up. It's going to be a name. Your opinion?
Well, I think it has to be a name at North Carolina. I don't think the fan base is going to tolerate anything else. I don't think the donor base is going to tolerate anything else. But I'm not sure that this job is like the greatest job in the world that it's being cracked up to be. Obviously, it's North Carolina, but they've got some issues. Really, how much? As we have seen, the teams that generally have the most success are the teams that are able to spend the most money wisely. And North Carolina has made that huge investment in the football program. And, is Bill Belichick going to take less money so the basketball team can be more successful? And, the thing about one of these jobs opening up that really always bothers me is there's a lot of guys out there who have great jobs already. Why would Tommy Lloyd from Arizona go to North Carolina? He's in a great situation. Same thing with Nate Oates. Same thing with TJ Otzelberger. But all you do is you raise these issues. And the people from North Carolina haven't come out and said, this is our wish list. This is just all speculation from our colleagues in the media. And what that does is that hurts Alabama. That hurts Iowa State. That hurts Arizona. We're about to have the transfer portal open, and who's going to go to a school if they think the coach is going to jump to go to another one? So North Carolina, I'm sure, will get the best person they can get. A guy like Jerry Stackhouse, who's coached in the NBA the last couple of years after coaching at Vanderbilt. And I didn't have great success at Vanderbilt, and that may be against him, but he's a guy in the North Carolina family that if they elected to go that way. And they've got some issues down there with the Dean Dome. There's all this discussion about what they're going to do. They need to modernize it. Do they build something else? Do they build it off campus? Do they build it on campus? And whoever the new basketball coach is going to have to get right in the center of that. And I'm not sure that I would want to be in the center of that. So they're going to get a really good basketball coach. I think they're going to get a big name, but I haven't heard anything that would make me believe that, Billy Donovan, people are talking about Billy Donovan. Well, if they could get Billy Donovan, great. But Billy Donovan got out of it years ago after winning a couple of national championships. So why would he want to dive back in? Maybe he will. I don't know. So that's going to be that's an interesting episode. But again, they got to move quickly because this transfer portal is opening up here next week, and they've got to have somebody in place.
Great point. It's changed a lot since he left the college game. It wasn't NIL and portal when he was coaching back with the Gators before he joined the NBA. No question about it. Ed?
Well, too, Dan, you've seen a lot of guys, Jay Wright, you've seen some of the vets. They don't want to put up with what's going on now because it's a completely different game where the money controls everything. And if you don't have it, you're stuck. And kids don't want to know about, you have a beautiful campus. How much am I getting? and they'll jump. As you see, guys will transfer 3-4 times. It is a completely different game. And, you're right. Why would a veteran coach like a Donovan want to come back unless he's fed up with the NBA situation, because it's been a struggle for him with the Bulls. But to go back into that kind of a situation, I don't know. It's just a different game. And you do see a lot of the veteran coaches just say, Bill Self is trying to decide right now. And of course, a lot of with him is his health too, which is more important than any of all this stuff. So, you just don't know in terms of what people really think to take something.
No, you don't. But, the players can now move. The players get paid. So the players are not like the coaches. Here's Will Wade. He comes off a big cheating scandal and nobody cares. McNeese hires him and he's successful at McNeese. So the people from North Carolina State snap him up. And what's their reward? Well, he gets more money someplace else. And so after a year, he moves. And, yes, the game is different without any question. But I'm not somebody who's opposed to the players having some freedom. Why should it just be the coaches who are allowed to move around anytime they want to? And why should it be the college presidents who get all the money? So it's different. It takes a different mindset to function in it. I acknowledge that. It's harder for the coaches now, but, the coaches are not minimum wage employees at these universities. And so it's like the old, and Ed, you might remember the old cartoon show, Super Chicken, where one of the lines was, if you get hurt, you'll have to overlook it because you knew the job was dangerous when you took it. And so that's what's going on. You take these jobs, that's what you deal with. And the guys who are getting out, nobody in their 30s is getting out. It's guys who have had tremendous success and guys who think, well, wait a minute, this is harder than I want it to be, and I just really don't need to deal with it anymore. So it's I don't think it's a criticism of the game. I think it's, okay, I really don't want to deal with this anymore. So
I love that reference. That's a good one. The old cartoon. You remember that one, Ed? That was on your Saturday mornings, wasn't it?
You knew what you were getting into when you took it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That cartoon and the Roadrunner and Wally Coda, those are my best. Those are the best. Because I always relate things back to basketball. When I tell my kids in practice, I said, you watch a cartoon. Of course, these kids nowadays, what? Who? I said, Wally Coyote Roadrunner. Coyote never gave up, no matter what. He got blown up, destroyed, the boulder hit him in the head, train ran over him, and he kept coming back. I said, that's what we got to do. We got to keep coming back.
Yeah.
No, that's a good one.
Hey,
Dan,
before we let you run here, Dan, go ahead, Ed.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, Matt, Dan gets into the – we were there. Dan got the Hall of Fame. And the thing everybody loved about Dan is your career, your background, Dan, is tremendous. But I remember the guy next to me saying, son of a gun, you know what I like about this guy, this tall guy? He didn't talk for 49 minutes. What the guy next to us was saying, I was laughing. I said, yeah, but what he said was some good stuff. Dan, how did you feel about coming into Virginia Sports Hall of Fame?
Well, it was a very humbling experience. I never even thought about it. When they called me, I thought they wanted me to, and I've done some things for the Hall of Fame over the years, made some appearances and things like that long before I was in the Hall of Fame. And I thought, somebody wanted me to do something. When they told me I was being inducted, I was something that's all I almost never am, and that was speechless. So it was. I'm very grateful. It was a very humbling experience. But when you go in as a broadcaster, it's not like going in as a player or a coach, because as a broadcaster, it's just that's not an individual sport. You have so much support and so much help and so many partners, and so I felt very honored to be in. But as I said when I was there, people say to me, well, it's well deserved. Well, only if you count all the people who I have worked with and all the people who have helped me that they could fill a basketball arena. And so as long as you count all them too, then yeah, I thought it was deserved, but not just me. It was all of them. And so it's a pleasure to be in there. It's a humbling experience to be in there. I'm very grateful that they thought enough of me to put me in.
I'm so glad you said it, Dan, because with Ed and I having the privilege the last 12 plus years of getting the chance to call so many of the state championship games for the VHSL on the NFHS network, and also being the play-by-play voice on radio for Old Dominion women's basketball the last 5 years. It takes a village, as you kind of outlined there. It's the producers behind the scenes, the directors, it's the board ops, these different people that help make the broadcast what it is, that helps you in your preparation and getting the insight and information out to the audience, whether they're listening or watching, wherever it might be. And you've been one of the very best to do it since 1986. Every NCAA tournament, he's been one of the color commentators with CBS and all the different NCAA productions. Dan Bonner, the tall Virginian, our guest here on 757 Sports Talk. Always a pleasure. Great catching up with you, and enjoy the spring. It's coming soon, and we'll have warmer weather, and we'll talk to you down the road.
All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate the invitation. You all have a good weekend.
You too.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank
Dan
you.
Bonner, our guest here on 757 Sports Talk. We'll take a timeout. We've got more coming your way at 757 Sports Talk, and you're watching with us right here on Cova Sports TV, where you like, you share, and you always subscribe. Back in just a moment. Stay tuned.
For any athlete, making it to the top sometimes comes with a few steps back. That's why parents count on CHKD Sports Medicine, advanced diagnostics, treatment, and rehabilitation for sports injuries, just for young athletes like yours. With convenient locations across Hampton Roads and a whole team of experts here to keep your favorite player at the top of their game. CHKD Sports Medicine. Learn more at chkd.org or call the CHKD Sports Injury Hotline.
Cova Painting. We don't just paint, we transform spaces. Visit covapainting.com or call 757-550-7357 and mention the Sportsplex for 10% off of projects over $1,000.
What's up at DQ? Oh, just the best deal ever! The $7 Bacon Cheeseburger Meal Deal. Bacon cheeseburger for a limited time, plus fries, drink, and a sundae. Yeah, this is not the time to be modest. It's all full size for just $7. And there's bacon on that burger. The $7 Bacon Cheeseburger Meal Deal. Now, for a limited time on the $7 Meal Deal lineup. Only at DQ. Happy tastes good.
What does happiness mean to you?
Being in the ocean with you, watching you catch super fun waves.
In Virginia Beach, happiness is breaking barriers and savoring the sunshine.
I couldn't pick a better place or a better person to be with. This is what makes me happy.
Happiness is going all out.
And taking it all in.
Here, happiness is whatever you make it. Find yours in Virginia Beach.
I grew up here. I know this town. I know the people here. More important, they know me. As a banker at Town Bank, we become part of the communities we serve. The people who bank with us, our members, know us. When you bank with Town Bank, you'll know your banker. You'll know you can reach us, and you'll know we're here for you.
James Catato tells us tonight there's a new team making new noise in the USL2 scene on the other side of the water.
Something special is brewing inside the walls of the Virginia Beach Sportsplex.
We're not here for moral victories. When we're on our day, we're a legit team.
See the stars of the future in pre-professional action at the Virginia Beach Sportsplex. This combined season ticket special is for men's and women's. That's 15 games for just $100 for adults and $80 for youth. VBU has a brand new women's team that competes in the W League. Soccer fans, it's time to rally behind Virginia Beach United. Tickets are on sale now. Visit vbunited.com. Don't miss out on Virginia Beach United.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk with Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Back here on 757 Sports Talk. What are you eating?
Little bit of healthful food. Pretzel with no salt.
A pretzel with no salt. Great to have on Dan Bonner, the tall Virginian and Virginia Sports Hall of Famer on the program. He was insightful. That's 2 weeks in a row. I mean, we give you the best of the best. We're giving you Mike DeCourcy. We're giving you Dan Bonner. I'm sure we'll get somebody special on for the Final Four next weekend as well.
And the thing about getting those guys, for people out there to understand, they are at this time of the year in demand. People want them. And, we're not a national podcast, whatever. So for them to give us some time, it's pretty good. It's pretty good, even though people might say, well, I never heard him or whatever. Okay, just because you didn't hear him doesn't mean they're not any good.
Oh, no, you'll hear his voice when he's doing these games with Tom McCarthy, like we mentioned last week in Tampa. Right. And we've had Steve Lapis on, your buddy, before. We've had Tim Kirchin on, Phil Steele, different people. It's cool to get them on. That's right, Woody. Remind Ed, Pool Man's on the horizon. Don't forget, it's coming.
No, we'll keep him on that horizon. Speaking of Steve Lapis, I talked to him 2 days ago through text and that, and he wants to come on. But again, his schedule in terms of games and whatever.
He was doing a game last night. Yeah, we'll have to probably, in full disclosure, because I think he's on that CBS Sports Network pregame show with, forgive me, as Adam Zucker's the host, along with Wally Zerbiak and John Rothstein, and I'm forgetting the coach's name. It's on the end of the desk with them, but he'll probably be on that while we're doing our show live next week. Well, they're at the Final Four, so we might have to record it before he departs or when he has a night free. But, Ed's busy honky-tonking schedule, ladies and gents. It's difficult. And speaking of it, oh, look at this. Whoa. You owe him $5 in a soda. You better pay up.
Man, I already gave you the soda. Come on, Daryl.
Oh, thanks for chiming in. You can always hit the comment box. Again, we apologize. Our YouTube box, for some reason, is not popping up. We've had issues 2 weeks in a row on that. We've tried to troubleshoot it. I don't know if Nick and Chuck and the gang have figured it out, but we are getting like I mentioned earlier, IG. Well, we can't get the IG comments on the screen, but the Twitter X at Hatfield Sports, and the Facebook, if you go to my Facebook, we can pop those up on the screen. We're still efforting some other comments, trying to get the Instagram working and the YouTube working. And YouTube it's broken at the moment, but you can still watch us on YouTube. We just can't promise that we'll put your comment on the screen if it doesn't pop up in our inbox. So again, we know there are some comments. We just got to be able to see them to put them up there. But and again, you can always comment, and I can read some that I do view, like through the IG, if you have it that way as well. We just can't promise that we'll be able to put your comment on the screen. We can right now put it up there through Facebook or X. Does that all make sense, or did I confuse you more and more?
You don't confuse me at all. I mean, I've been working with you, 15 years? So ain't nothing you're going to say going to confuse me. I've already had all that mess.
Mm-hmm. So there you have it. Good. Good to chat with Dan Bonner. Ed, now we can shift gears, or we can take a look at the point spreads for the game. I think we can probably save those for the end of the show. And we haven't even tackled the women's tournament yet. We haven't tackled the women's tournament at all, which we'll probably do that later in the show. We want to give them their just due, because that was a wild finish. You see the end of that Duke LSU game where the shot went around the rim and went down for Duke. Kim Mulkey went bye-bye. I know that broke your heart. Kim Mulkey, who's now going to have to share not an office, but the building with Lane Kiffin and Will Wade. There it again. Sorry. Will Wade. That's an interesting coaching trio down there in Baton Rouge, isn't it?
They have their hands full in Baton Rouge with that crew. How about Will Wade? Okay, you get these recruiting scandal. Of course, you get McNeese hires you, like Dan had said. He does well.
Mm-hmm.
NC State invest in him. Okay, come on, and you're in the ACC. Here we go. Boom, he's getting it. And then 1 year, gone. Back to LSU because it's money. And I'm like, and I understand everybody has a right to make as much money as you can in your profession, whatever. But where in the hell is the idea of loyalty? It ain't like you were coaching at McNeese again. It's NC State. And you say goodbye and you're gone. And those kids that you brought in recruited, now it's like, well, and he'll try to take some of the better kids with him to LSU. It's the nature of the business now. But as an oldster, I just have a hard time with the loyalty factor being like, who cares? It's strictly about money. It bothers
me. Yeah, I know it bugs you.
But that Notre Dame, Duke and LSU women's game, I had a lot of interest in it other than Mulkey, because Well, I can't say it out loud as to what I was looking for, but that one killed me. That last second shot blew it out of the water. So I couldn't get what I thought I was going to be getting. So
no, elaborate. I'm lost. What did you forget? Oh wait, did Coach have some shekels on the purple and gold? Oh, you did, and they were making a fourth quarter comeback too. You got your hopes up, and then it went down the drain. Hit the flush button on a commode.
And I was out and about last night, so I wasn't able to really watch it, but I was keeping up with it. And where I was at, I almost yelled out loud, which would not have been cool to yell out loud when they hit that shot. So
you didn't see it. You were just following your phone to get updates. That's the most painful way.
That's the painful way to do it.
That's the painful way.
Yeah, it would have been nice, but
see, you should have, some people are sitting there watching the TV, biting their fingernails during the end of the UConn-Michigan State game and then taking a sigh of relief when Danny Hurley's Huskies move on to the Elite Eight.
But like I said, I've been near you when you got mad because you couldn't send the text.
I get glad.
You almost broke the windows of the car and everything else. So
I don't do those things. I don't get arrested like Tiger Woods. Oh, speaking of which.
Hey, man, somebody brought that to my attention where I was at last night. I didn't know what they were talking about because they didn't elaborate.
When I first saw it, I thought, like a lot of people, like Michael Wilbon put up on TV, is this a hoax? Is this like come on, this is not again? Not again. Yeah.
It's man, thank God he didn't get killed or kill somebody. That's number one.
Who's going to play? Okay, here's my question. Who's going to play Tiger Woods in the reality movie? Is it going to be Michael B. Jordan? Is it going to be Cuba Gooding? We just asked this about somebody in a movie. Who did we just ask this about recently? We did this on the show. Who's going to play so-and-so in a movie? We just did this for somebody.
You're right. We did.
Who was it?
Man.
Come on out there, audience, help us because we're getting old. We can't remember things. Because I remember I was bouncing off a couple of different actors. Who's going to play so-and-so in the movie? Who was it? I got to look through my phone to find who it was in the movie. So that I know we had this discussion. Who was this? Oh, it was Kurt Signetti. That's who it was. Thank you. Yeah, Thank you, Bob in Portsmouth, for sending me a text on it. It was Kurt Signetti from Indiana. That's right. How about our man Super E? Tay Diggs will play Tiger. Well, look, we said Signetti would be the Indiana coach who came in and said, Google me, would be either Dennis Quaid or Billy Bob Thornton. So we'll leave it to you out there. Who's going to play Tiger in the movie? My first two that came to mind, he said Tay Diggs, was Michael B. Jordan, although he's probably a little more built now than Tiger. Although Tiger wasn't, he's not those skinny, shrimp anymore. And the other one was Cuba Gooding. But see, Cuba Gooding played OJ in one of the OJ in the FX series. So I don't know. You know who might not be bad? And he's a great actor, Jamie Foxx.
Yeah,
he was awesome as Ray Charles. I could see Jamie Foxx doing a good Tiger. I could.
Yeah, the Ray Fox,
Ray Charles.
Ray Charles. Fox did a great job with that one. I don't know. I'm just disappointed.
Derek, you didn't go there, did you, Derek? You didn't go there. Derek.
He has enough issues from the past.
I mean, I shouldn't be laughing because it really shouldn't be a laughing matter. I mean, we should laugh at this. We shouldn't laugh at that. But in all seriousness, Ed, what in the world is Tigers, it's sad in a lot of ways. This is one of the iconic figures in sports. Transcended golf. I mean, it's really unfortunate, sad. I mean,
well, my thing is, and I don't want to keep dwelling on it.
Mm-hmm.
The good Lord protects it all, but he's not going to give you a million chances.
No. And
when it comes to, I teach drivers and I tell the kids, you get in an accident because of your fault. That's a warning. It's this is a privilege. Even though people need to drive, it's a privilege. Be careful what you're doing. Pay attention. It's not a time to be on your phone, drinking alcoholic beverage, even eating, period, in the car. Driving is driving, period. And if you're getting an accident and you survive it, and some people have survived some crazy looking accidents, to me, That's the good Lord making a statement to you from above and be privileged that you were able to walk away from that. That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
And that one accident he had took that Corvette around the corner 100 mile an hour. To walk out of that, I don't even know if I want to drive anymore after that, because the message received. So that's how I look at it, is, and I'm a big Tiger Woods fan. I think what he has done at his apex in golf was something. I don't think he'll ever go back to it. And now you start to wonder, does it, because there was talk about him maybe playing in the Masters. Does anybody want him to come back out on a golf course, because everybody's going to look at him like, hey man, you're taking advantage of these kind of situations and you don't really care. So why should we support you? But, I hope everything works out for him and he recovers and whatever. But the good thing, like I said, was nobody was killed in this situation, because it would be a whole different story right now.
Correct. And it's just, you shake your head and you just needs to get some help. There's no question about it. Before we take a break, and we're going to go with some of the all-state teams, because I know either Ed or I will rant about the all-state teams. One of us will, I'm sure. Maybe it'll be Ed about Class 4 or me about Class 2 or Class 5. Before we do that, then we'll do picks at the end of the show on the college hoops. We'll sprinkle in the women's games too. We don't want to leave them out to go with the men's Elite 8 games. You got one more set of Sweet 16 matchups for women today before the Elite 8 get underway for tomorrow for the ladies. And again, I think their Final Four, I'm not mistaken, Ed, is the day before the men's next week.
Yes.
And then all that Indianapolis Division 1, 2, and 3. Norfolk Tides open up their season on Friday night. And by the way, folks will be delighted to know, if they're watching us here on Cova Sports TV on YouTube, that every Norfolk Tides home game, somebody actually called me yesterday and said that they're going to do select games. No, folks. Every home game for the Tides this year will be televised. Now, they won't be televised by the same network, but between Masson, which carries the Baltimore Orioles games, the Spot Norfolk 27, and MyTVZ, every home game will be televised. Whether it be Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you name it, all on TV, which is pretty cool. And, of course, all the games on radio as well. But they had their home opener, their season opener, not just home opener, on Friday night, Ed. And I don't know if you saw what happened, but the Tides in that game, they got stopped because of the weather, obviously, because it was raining. Ended up 7 innings coming from behind, down 4-0 to win it, as they got the job done over the Nashville Sounds in that contest. And a little history was made, because 6-run inning to win it 6-4. First AAA pitcher to strike out 11, Robert Gasser for Nashville, even though it came in not a W. First to do it since Zach Gallen of Diamondbacks fame did it in 2019 from New Orleans. How about that?
Now, what was the accomplishment? Striking out 11? And it's
first AAA pitcher to strike out 11 on opening day since Zach Gallen for New Orleans in 2019. So, yeah, pretty good. But think about that. You get that type of performance, 5 2/3 scoreless, and you don't get the W. Those sting. Those really sting.
Well, we said basketball, you got to put the ball through the basket. In baseball, obviously, you got to run around the bases and touch home plate as more than the other team. You can have great pitching and all that, and great pitching can really destroy some great hitting, but you got to be able to outscore people. So,
yes, as it'll now come up on the screen from me. Thank you, Captain Obvious. Appreciate that.
Now, what about the more important statistic? The Yankees runs. Did they get enough last night to beat the Giants? All right. So my Yankees are now 2-0. Two.
Maybe it says more about San Francisco than it does your Yankees.
We only got
because listen, if your Yankees were playing the evil empire of the West, aka the Dodgers, and my D-backs were playing the Giants, we might be 2-0, and you might be 0-2. Yeah.
But you live in a world of what ifs. I'm living in a world of this is what happened. You're 2-0, and the Diamondbacks are 0-2, and that's just the way it is. And long way to go. Not going to get excited yet. We don't really get into baseball until the 4th of July.
You seem pretty excited over there.
We'll see what happens. And but the Tides, I'm thinking I may be at the Tides game tomorrow. All right. So I may be there tomorrow. Can't wait to get my Italian sausage again, the big Italian sausage sandwich, and check out what's going on. And I got to give all the credit in the world to my good buddy Jim Hammond. Jim is the one that invites me to that Tides game. So, and his seats are fantastic seats. Jim has an inn. He's got some great seats, though he has to pay for those. And I may be there tomorrow. We'll see. We'll see.
That's good. You go sign autographs on the concourse while you're there?
Probably not. I tried that one time before, and
they threw you off the concourse. Yeah,
everybody just kept looking, walking right by. So,
all right,
that ain't gonna work.
We'll come back and go through some of the all-state teams for basketball when we return here on CBS Sports TV after this quick word from those that help make it possible. Stay tuned.
What is more? Is it more reps, more strength, more stamina? We say it's all of that, but it's greater than just what's in the mirror. It's about improving your mental and physical health. More is a feeling of achievement, fulfillment, confidence. It's looking better, feeling better, being better, and it's our mission to get you there. Because here, you are more. One Life Fitness.
As a banker at Town Bank, we believe that people bank with people, not with banks. You're looking for an actual personal relationship, and that's what you get at our bank. You get that person that gets to know you, gets to know your business, is there for you. I think that is what motivates us, what drives us, and the idea that we are trying to serve others and enrich lives, I think is very true.
What makes a life a good one? Is it our adventures? Or the friends we find along the way? Is it the challenges we conquer together? Maybe it's the people's lives we touch every single day. So, what makes a life a good one? You'll have to figure that one out for yourself.
Hampton Roads has a long-running high school and college sports tradition. It's time to give them the spotlight they deserve. This is 757 Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
And welcome back to 757 Sports Talk on this final Saturday of March 2026. Coach Ed Young, I am Matthew Hatfield, as today is National Something on a Stick Day, celebrating food served on skewers, sticks, or popsicle sticks. It's also National Black Forest Cake Day, National Weed Appreciation Day, Respect Your Cat Day. And there you have it. Those are all the days that it is on this March 28th. Anything you have to say about all that?
I didn't know any of that at all. National Something on a Stick Day that you eat. That's wild, because you could put any type of food on a stick. Doesn't mean it's necessarily good, and there's some cultures that combine Respect Your Cat and Food on a Stick Day, if you know what I mean, and I don't want to go there.
Why did you go there? You just did.
It popped in my head. You know me. I say what's on my mind. It was on my mind. So just be careful. Some places
I can't edit that out.
We don't need that out. It's just we do public service announcements on this show. Okay, wherever you go to eat, make sure you know what you're eating for sure, because it's crazy when people eat something, say, "Oh, this is good." Hey, what is it? I'm not putting it in my mouth. I don't know what it is to begin with. First of all, I need some clarification of what I'm eating, especially if you just throw something on a stick and whatever on a stick. Come on now.
I'm regretting bringing this up now. I really am. Hey, let's zoom in on the All-State boys basketball team for Class 6. We're going to take it down in numerical order from 6 to 1 that we have. They haven't done the Class 6 girls team. Jamon Price, a Westfield Player of the Year. Kevin Harris, Westfield's the Coach of the Year. Joining Price on the first team, you got Lansdowne's Damian Robinson, Elijah Gaskins, Nate McComb, Trey Leonardo of George Marshall, J.J. Bell of Garfield, Isaiah Brown, and Jihad Mansour. A lot of players coming back next year. Only a few seniors of that 8. I think half of them are seniors, half of them will be back. And then your second team selections were Madrigal of Patriot, Anderson of South County, Cam Clark of Western Branch, Fitch from Oscar Smith, Coulomb, Gibson, Bell, and Dominic Mack, all seniors on the second team. Any quick thoughts there? I think we both knew it was going to be a tight race probably for player of the year between Price and Robinson, and what helped Price was, well, he's a senior, Robinson's a sophomore, and his team won it, whereas Robinson's team lost the final game there in Class 6. But Dame certainly has a great chance to get that award next year, and perhaps, you never know, back-to-back if it happens that way.
Yeah, I think Dame keeps improving like he has. Yeah, so have that opportunity. A lot of times these selections from VHSL is where you player of the year in the region.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say there's, 4 regions make up a particular classification. Well, those 4 kids pretty much are going to be first team All-State. So that's half the squad. That's 4. So now you get, because I've been asked this question a lot, how do these kids get picked? So now it really comes down to we're going to vote for 4 more kids put on first team All-State.
Mm-hmm.
And it's coaches voting, those that show up. So now what they do is they say, okay, well, what teams were in this championship game? And who from those 2 teams deserve to be on? It's not even like a vote. It's, all right, we stick them on. Okay, well, okay, that's 2 more. So that's 6. Now we got to come up with 2 more people. Okay, what teams were in the state, got bounced in the semis? Who did they have? And sometimes it's like, okay, well, here's this one. Okay, that's only 1. Okay, that's 7. All right, who got beat in the first round of quarterfinals? Okay, well, this tape, they got a kid pretty good. Oh, let's get him. There's your 8. Done. Sometimes that's how the voting goes. I've been in the room. And therefore, you could be a tremendous player, great player. Your team didn't make the state tournament, and you don't get state recognition. It happens. And I say that only because a lot of times people want to know, well, how did the voting go? Mm-hmm. And those in the know, when you look at the rosters of these All-State, you can see how it went. And I'm not, is it good or bad? I'm just saying, do we always give every kid who had a great year equal opportunity? Or is it let's just cut down the voting and let's, okay, who was on the championship team and who made all region, the number 1 player in the region?
I think there should be an all-state tournament team and a state tournament MVP, because I feel like William Robinson, who was the best player on the court for Westfield's championship, kind of got shortchanged. His season might not have been as good as Jamon Price or even Isaiah Brown, who was first team All-State, but there should be an acknowledgement of his strong performance. And Lansdowne didn't get a second guy on second team. They didn't get Josiah Law or Rashad Shaw, which is a slight surprise because they made it to the title game as a region runner-up, but nonetheless, that's how the cookie crumbles. Here is the Class 5 girls team, and Micah Ojo, now a 3-time state player of the year. Can it be 4? Well, history could be made if that happens, but 71 straight wins for Darnell Dozier's program. They won another championship, and you see she's joined on first team by her teammate Tristan Rickenbacher, Riley Hyde of Kings Fork, Morgan Herbert of Deep Creek, and Maddie Leach, who's at a JMU from Minchville, also on the first team. Giselle James made second team for PA, as well as Nevaeh Reed from Minchville, Brittany Evans at Kings Fork, Mansman Rivers Jordan Richardson, and Mia Spain, one of the Spain sisters for Kellum. Lots and lots of 757 flavor here. I don't think the 757 has any grief. Maybe a couple other regions, but when you get 2 757 teams in an epic championship game that was decided in overtime, like we had with Minchville and PA, it's hard to really put up a strong argument against that, isn't it?
Yeah, if you show out in a state tournament and you've had a good year, you're pretty much a done deal. And those kids are deserving. The PA girls, seen them play up close, so they're deserving on there. Menchville, another great program, and they only have the one girl, correct? No, two.
Nevaeh Reed.
Three.
Yeah.
Was it? Okay, three. So they got.
You're right. Three. I missed Tanaya Henson. I'm glad you caught that. My apologies. Yeah, and she was a presence inside, if you remember, in that championship game in their playoff run, no doubt. Yep.
Yeah, so that's good, and it's good, and it's good to see the youngster from Nazareth River, Jordan Richardson. I remember her in my class as a sophomore back in the day. So
good for her. You didn't ruin her by having to deal with your class.
Oh, she passed. Now I had to get on her a few times. Now I told her, I say, hey, look, girl, because you're good in basketball, don't mean you're going to skirt through my class. Yes, sir. And she picked it up and did a great job. A kid, great personality, great worker, and senior. Makes you see where she will play her college basketball.
Now, this is the one I have the problem with. I don't want to ever take away from somebody's accomplishments in earning second team or first team All-State. So I don't want to be the guy that says this player doesn't belong or shouldn't be on there. But what I will say about Class 5, they got the player of the year right. Keon Mitchell of Norview deserved it. Had an awesome year. Made a number of big games in the playoffs. No problem with that. And Ricardo Foster of Norview being the coach of the year. Usually, Ed, the regional player of the year gets on first team All-State. That didn't happen with Princess Anne Josiah Goodson. He was region player of the year as a sophomore, and there were players in his own region, two guys from Green Run who are worthy players, and Malik Gooden and Xavier Cleveland, headed to Virginia Tech for football, who got on first team All-State. Other region players of the year, Makai Radlin of Albemarle. He got the check mark. Mitchell, of course, and Max Lawson of Riverside. I'm a little surprised at some guys that were second team that didn't get first team, but I'm most surprised that E.J. Thompson of Highland Springs, 25 points per game for a team that made the regional semifinals, did not get first or second team All-State. I believe he was the second highest scorer behind Mitchell in the state in all of Class 5. Again, a kid that averaged 25 a game, 5 rebounds, 3 steals, and 2 assists per contest, didn't get All-State. That was an oversight. They dropped the ball on that one. He should have been on All-State for Class 5.
And we get into a situation where somebody may say, okay, you want them on there, so who we drop it? And we're not going to get into who we're going to drop or whatever. They're on. But, yeah, 25 points a game from out of a program that is traditionally very strong, usually in the mix. It's surprising. And again, as a coach, I'm going to say this. Probably didn't have Highland Springs coach there in the voting, or maybe somebody represent. I could be wrong. Yep. Therefore, the coaches that are usually in the meeting are going to push for their region. I mean, that's common sense. But at the same time, and this is why when we get into voting situations, let's take our time. Let's really, do we have the information for all the players? Who was nominated? Do we have all their stats? And coaches, and I'll get on coaches. It's not so much what they did against you, or I never heard of him, or I think this kid or that kid. It's for the kid's sake. I don't care if it takes an hour to do the meeting. Let's do it so we can do it properly and give that kid, just because his coach is not here or somebody's not here to rep that area. Look, everybody in coaching knows Highland Springs is a good program.
Yeah.
Kid averaging 25 points a game. I'm not saying just because you average 25 points, you're automatically first team. I understand all that.
Right.
But it's the idea of, I know how the voting goes. I've been in those situations. Was I in that meeting? Absolutely not. But I've been in enough over the years to know how it goes. And, people, let's get the voting correct. And in these areas, and I don't think you can do and vote for your own. These districts and region meetings where you can vote for your own players needs to stop. Because you're going to put your kid up high. You nominated them, so you're going to put them high, and it affects the voting. Let others give you the accolades that your kid deserves, not you as a coach. You can nominate your kid. You put down, you talk about his statistics, really be open to it, what other awards he's done, whatever. And then let's get the right people on there. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, and there's a number of players that are coming back from the 757 for next year that were featured here, with the likes of Isaiah Goodson, as I mentioned, from Princess Anne, Quentin Cruz and Nansman River, TJ Atwater, the senior, Teron Atwater makes first team, his teammate, but Trey Barnhart of Kellum and Christian Lynch of Kempsville all set to return next season as seniors, or in Goodson's case, he'll be a junior. Going to Class 4 girls, Ed, we had her and her coach on the show last week. They were going to the Booplex. Josiah Babb, how about this as a freshman getting State Player of the Year? Don't say that too often. It happened in Class 1 girls, which I'll show you in a moment. Roger Smith is the coach of the year. She's the only freshman to make first or second team All-State. A couple of sophomores make second team All-State in Henrico's Rawlings and Loudoun County's Sammy White. But you have some more 757 representation. Manor got one other young lady. That's Ciasia Brown is going to Bowie State on the first team. Salem girls had 3 players, a couple second-teamers in Gabby Crawley and Emmy Custer, as well as Billy Ryder on the first team. And the Hampton girls got Zuriel Pendleton Morant, a junior, on the second team. Crabbers should be back in the mix. Taylor Ragland from Grafton making the first team as well. Ordinarily I'd have a problem with a freshman, but she was so spectacular in the state championship game. I say, you know what? Give it to her. Why not?
Hey, and she got her first career interview on the show. So, from the back seat of the car as Roger Smith was Ubering her to the Bootplex. So
he was Ubering her. You're funny. You're funny. Class 4 on the boys' side. This is your division. I don't know if you were in the meeting, but Christian Dinges of Hanley got Player of the Year. Joshua Rice, I think, was second in the voting there. It's pretty much all seniors across the board, with the exception of Damaris Harris of EC Glasgow on that first team. Big honor for him, and big props to him on that. You have, in addition, Straughter from Verina, Colin Bird will be on the show, going to Grambling State from Tuscarora, Abraham Taft, Rice's Hampton teammate, Ryan Brzezinski, Mount St. Mary's bound from Broad Run, Amari Cooper of Monacan, and then your second team, Nasir Johnson of Denby, along with Kevin Parker, the quarterback from Denby football, Purdue of Broad Run. Brzezinski's teammate makes it. Dylan Williams and Mason Miller, both juniors coming back for Heritage Leesburg, which lost a close state semifinal game, so watch out for them. Kobe Morrison, son of Coach DeMarcus Morrison, Connor Wilcox of Athlete, and Damari Carter of Verina getting on there as well. He's going to UVA for football. This one mirrors pretty much almost your entire BCAF ballot, I would imagine, and what made your picks there. Although a couple of those schools, I want to say Verina and Broad Run, might not be members of the Coaches Association, so they weren't on your ballot, I saw. So, yeah, interesting look there. Very interesting. But I think Class 4 got it pretty right for the most part.
Yeah, and I think what you have to look at is on the BCAF, and I think you had that up there once before. BCAF, our association, coaches have to be a member for your kid to get the notoriety. For the VHSL, it's just strictly whoever. And we're trying to build up the association. That's why we're doing it, because people ask me, well, why are you hurting the kids by not selecting them? It's not hurting the kids. The coach has to put out the $25 or $30. It is join the association, and it opens up for awards for everybody in your program. So, and we are trying to push basketball in the state. Class 3 girls,
Ainsley Trivet was tremendous. She's going to NC State from Abingdon. We have no issue there. Jemiah Parker, over 1,000 points at Lake Taylor, had a heck of her career. She makes the first team. A lot of senior representation, but there are a couple of juniors like April Winfield of Hopewell, Camilla Diamond, who we watched in the state finals for Skyline girls, and Aylin McCauley from Stanton River that got on the first team there for Class 3 girls. Moving over to the Class 3 on the boys' side, it's their time now, and Latrell Allman repeats as state player of the year. So last year was doing it in Class 2 at John Marshall. He's Oklahoma State bound, and he gets it done in Class 3 for the Petersburg Crimson Wave. Also on the first team, Marty Ray of New Kent. Jamari Edwards, nephew of Coach Derek Yogi Edwards at Lake Taylor, caps his fine career. Jakari Jones, his Lake Taylor teammate, makes the second team. Petersburg had Ladarius Given join Allman on the first team. And one sophomore, Garrett Overbay from Christiansburg, makes the second team. And a lot of seniors, pretty senior heavy there. I'd keep an eye on Sam Seaborn and Western Albemarle. They got a couple players coming back next year. Western Albemarle could be a real threat there in Class 3. They lose Jack Castor, who was a big deal for them. But no issue with the Class 3 team. I think they pretty much got that one pretty right there. No, by the way, only 2 Petersburg kids, no third guy. So they didn't pick Anderson, Baycott, or Cam Claiborne for second team.
Yeah, I'm surprised Petersburg didn't have another youngster there.
Anderson would have got it. Anderson would have got it if they did the state tournament.
Yeah, and he had a heck of a state tournament. So I was just a little surprised on that. But I'm also not surprised for other reasons.
Yeah. Class 2 girls, Atlanta McCavish of Clark County, You won't get any argument there. We saw their celebration. She was spectacular. Stat sheet stuffer, multi-sport performer. I mean, just fantastic. Caitlin Witt of Union, who'll be back next year. She put up major numbers for the runner-ups. You see 2 sophomores make second team with Paige McCavish, her sister at Clark County, and Caden Harris of Virginia High. And John Marshall gets a couple of juniors in Lipscomb and Heron on the first team. Now my rant will be channeled through the Class 2 boys. And I want to see if Ed can guess why I'm going to rant on the Class 2 boys all-state team. Would you like to take a – and it has nothing to do with Derek Baptiste-Lugo getting player of the year. I don't have a problem with that. EF Central Woodstock.
Well, let me see here. Let me
hard
see.
Here. He's glaring. He's glaring into the graphic to see why is Matt Hatfield about to scream and holler and lose his mind and start chucking pins in the back of his piano and fireplace back there. Why am I going to lose my mind and start throwing things in my fireplace and my piano behind me? Why? Tell us why.
Where?
Why?
Fort Chiswell. Where is Fort Chiswell?
No, Fort Chiswell's in Class 1. No. You're
that's
Fort
right. Okay. That's right. Okay.
I'm not mad about that, but Graham was the state champion, right? Coach Todd Baker, well-deserved coach of the year. Remember he had a stroke last year. We're happy for him, right? We're happy for him.
Nobody made first team from Graham.
Nobody made first team from the state champs. And I understand, and Strasburg has the right to be upset. They didn't get a guy on second team. And they were, I think, the only boys or girls team to make state tournament didn't get a guy on second team, guy or gal. So Strasburg and Coach Fox, listen, I even undersold you before the season started. I'll admit it. I dropped the ball. I didn't have you in my top 10 and y'all made the state tournament. That's on me. But they didn't get a guy on second team. And as upset as you are, Graham should be doubly mad because they won the state championship and didn't get a guy on first team. How Ty Martin doesn't make second team after the performance he had in the state championship game. And by the way, he had a 30-point game against Gate City. I'm not here to say it was the only good game he had all year for the Graham G-men. But let's be honest here. And this is the truth. You can tell me and strike me down or shoot me down if I'm wrong here. How many times do we overreact to a state championship game and say, oh, my goodness, that's player of the year? He had 25 points in the state championship game as a sophomore. And this kid doesn't make second team all-state. Channing DeCibio, over 1,000 in his career, 17 in the state title game. He doesn't make first team. Absolute joke and crock. Now, again, I don't have a problem with Nelson County getting 2 guys on the first team. I think they're both worthy. They were my preseason number 1 pick. Both Colton Ward and Bryce Giles. Really good. But we're going to have 2 state tournament teams. TJ of Richmond, which lost in the state semis, also have 2 guys on first team. They both didn't make it to the final game. Both. I know Isaiah Harris is going to UVA for football. But what are we doing here? We got to get a Graham guy on first team all-state. And Troy Tomlin, by the way, for John Marshall Jr., who came from Paul to 6, 33 points per game. Remains to be seen if he'll be there next year. But anyways, 33 points per game for him. No problem with him on first team. But we gotta get a Graham guy on first team. I'm baffled. I'm baffled. Absolutely baffled. It's a crock, a disgrace, a sham, a mockery, a travesty, all those things.
Yeah, because again, how the voting usually goes, and the coaches start talking, okay, who's the 4 region players of the year on there? Who won the state title? It's like it's a given.
Well, you said players of the year. So again, I'm not taking nothing from any of these kids. They're worthy, deserving. So if your players of the year were Baptiste-Lugo of Woodstock, he gets state player of the year, no problem there. 2C, I think it was Bryce Giles of Nelson. It was one of the Nelson guys, either him or Colton Ward. I don't think it was Zay Tinsley of Martinsville. That's fine. The 2D player of the year had to have been Cam Bostic, who was the slippery quarterback for the Union Bears out there in Big Stone Gap. New football coach, by the way, and Jamie Harless. Congrats to him, formerly of Lord Botetourt. Going to keep the Bears in the mix. We know about their former coach, who, to our knowledge, is still missing, Travis Turner, with that whole story and situation that became a national headline. But, Edward, help me out here. If the region players of the year didn't make all-state in Class 5, how come they got to make it in Class 2? We don't have consistency across the board in these things. That drives me bonkers.
Yeah, I got to believe if you're a region player of the year, you have a great shot at first team all-state, no less than second team, period.
If you're in Class 2, but not if you're in Class 5.
Well, again,
that's my point.
I can't speak to everybody.
where's the consistency?
Right. They bring the coaches in, and if I'm not mistaken, somebody correct me, if you're a Region 2 coach, you have the opportunity to come and vote for All-State. Okay? If you're Region 5, you're Region 5. 5's not going to the Region 2 meeting. 2's not going to Region 5 meeting. You stay because
I understand.
You know your area. But I'm with you on this one. How can a team that wins a state title not have a player on first team All-State?
And by the way, if we're penalizing Martin because he's a sophomore, we darn sure didn't do it in Class 4 girls or Class 1 girls with those freshmen being state players of the year. So again, one I know that the mentality is one size doesn't fit all, but the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing, or I should say Class 2, Class 5, Class 1, and Class 4, totally different circumstances. There's just no consistency across the board.
And I will say this, insight on freshman, sophomore. I'll speak for me first. If there's two players very similar, very just so similar, you want to see what team went furthest in the state. And then I also, at the same time, I'll say, well, this kid's a senior, this one's a sophomore. Senior this is it for him. The sophomore has 2 more shots. I'm going to vote for the senior. Okay? Again, statistics being extremely close, and maybe their teams advance to the same level. But if it's, by far different, the sophomore just has way better numbers, I don't care if his team went to the states or not. He deserves All-State. All-State is not for what your team did. It's as an individual what you do. Then you put him other things into consideration. So Graham's got to have a kid. He's on what? They had one on second team. All right.
DeCivio.
Right. So he had to
have. By the way, they were a region runner-up. They were a region runner-up that won the state championship. And their 3 top guys, DeCivio Jr., Campbell Fix Jr., Ty Martin sophomore. So none of their top guys were seniors. So they didn't get maybe, I don't know, push is the right word, but as thrown into the thrust of that as closely. But I'll be honest with you, some of your better players in some divisions are just sometimes they're underclassmen. We talked about with Dane Robinson at Lansdowne in Class 6. Ian Hayes at Central Wise put up monster numbers. Noah Farley at Floyd County's been an all-state guy for a couple years here. So sometimes that is just the case. I mean,
right. And like I said,
I get what you're saying. If it's close, that can be a 4th or 5th tiebreaker. Maybe not the first one. That's fine. But I have a problem with Graham not getting a guy on first team All-State. I've never seen it before. Team win a state championship, not have a single person on first team All-State.
Yeah, I agree. The kid should have been moved up from second team. Should have been first team.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we take 8 players for crying out loud. Class 1 girls, I mentioned it. Freshman got player of the year. Here she is. When it loads, it's done loading. Yes, it is. Riley Hawks of Galax. Her coach Patrick Puckett, the coach of the year. You see a couple sophomores joining her on the first team, Ed, with the likes of Juliana Farmer of Honaker and Emily Benson of Luray. And then
let me interrupt you.
Surrey County had a first teamer, yeah.
They have 2 freshmen on first team. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right.
And only 1 senior among the top 8, and that's Michaela Luttrell of George Wythe.
Going to be interesting next year. Do we see Surrey
has
County
3 seniors? Yeah, look at that. So of your top 16 in girls basketball in Class 1, I'm sorry, there's 2 seniors. I see Morgan Self of Essex. I missed her there. So of your top 16, only 5 of them are seniors. How about that?
Yeah, that's amazing. That goes against the grain. That's good. That speaks well for now. Will those kids all beat those same schools? Which high school, yeah. I don't think
the transfer portal is as rampant in Class 1 girls basketball, but we'll find out, right? We'll find out.
Yeah,
in Class 1 boys basketball, let's see if Ed has a problem. My man Owen Action Jackson, 53 in a state championship game loss after dropping 52 in a season opening loss. My gosh. What a story this kid can say. He had 52 points in the game, 53 points in the game. How your team do? We lost both of them by like 1 point. Unbelievable. Or lost them close. I was surprised he beat out Matthew Owens. I think he's deserving of it. But here's my thing. How does Luray not get a second guy? They won the championship. They won the ship. And you know who I'm gonna go to bat here for, Ed. And I don't know where he was in the all-region ballot. And I know some guys say it goes by the way to ballot. But Fort Chiswell gave them a fight, no question about it. But Luray, Connor Hilliard, the senior, the 6'1", 4 going to JV for baseball, I thought he should have been on second team at the least. I thought he should have been. That's just me.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at this second team, and again, don't want to come out and say who to bump off because I'm not as familiar with them as I would be for, which
there's
is
a
my
couple
reason.
teams that didn't make the state tournament I'd consider, but look, that one got me. A lot of good scores in Class 1, though. Tyreek Lundy over 1,000. Cade Kaywood over 1,000. Owens, Langston Cook, and Perry McClure, who'll be back, over 1,000. A lot of really good scores. Jasheem Collins, I think Northampton's already over 1,000. So Class 1 had some really good talent this year. It did.
Yeah, and then like I said, if this is we're looking at college, all state teams or whatever, all district, all region, a lot of the underclassmen on the lower levels are going to transfer. That's a guarantee.
Mm-hmm.
High school really hasn't hit yet, but you might see some of those kids move on.
You might. All right. We'll come back and do some picks to close out this episode of 757 Sports Talk. You're watching with us where we're streaming all the time on Cova Sports TV. Back in just a bit. Stay tuned.
For any athlete, making it to the top sometimes comes with a few steps back. That's why parents count on CHKD Sports Medicine, advanced diagnostics, treatment, and rehabilitation for sports injuries just for young athletes like yours. With convenient locations across Hampton Roads and a whole team of experts here to keep your favorite player at the top of their game. CHKD Sports Medicine. Learn more at chkd.org or call the CHKD Sports Injury Hotline.
Cova Painting. We don't just paint, we transform spaces. Visit covapainting.com or call 757-550-7357 and mention the Sportsplex for 10% off of projects over $1,000.
What's up at DQ? Oh, just the best deal ever! The $7 bacon cheeseburger meal deal. Bacon cheeseburger for a limited time, plus fries, drink, and a sundae. Yeah, this is not the time to be modest. It's all full size for just $7. And there's bacon on that burger. The $7 bacon cheeseburger meal deal. Now, for a limited time on the $7 meal deal lineup. Only at DQ. Happy tastes good.
What does happiness mean to you?
Being in the ocean with you, watching you catch super fun waves.
In Virginia Beach, happiness is breaking barriers and savoring the sunshine.
I couldn't pick a better place or a better person to be with. This is what makes me happy.
Happiness is going all out.
And taking it all in.
Here, happiness is whatever you make it. Find yours in Virginia Beach.
I grew up here. I know this town. I know the people here. More important, they know me. As a banker at Town Bank, we become part of the communities we serve. The people who bank with us, our members, know us. When you bank with Town Bank, you'll know your banker. You'll know you can reach us, and you'll know we're here for you.
James could tell.
Do you feel like anything needs to change with the approach, roster construction, or the way you're...
Yeah, I have no... Right now, I'm worried about tonight, consoling the guys.
We'll stay here in the front row.
I'd like about $5 more million. There's my answer.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Who wouldn't want $5 more million? I know I would. With the Coach Ed Young, I'm Matthew Hatfield. Hey, before we get to our picks, it's time to fill the audience in on where things stand with the Cova Sports TV Bracket Challenge. Is Ed winning? Is he in the top 5 still? Would you like to know, Coach?
Went downhill. You know what? I haven't even looked at it since last show. So where am I?
That's why I'm updating you since last show. James is winning it. James 15,581. Who are you? You're tied with Ryan, Gene 13, and Flop Flip. Not flip-flop, but flop-flip, who's got the big red X because his champion's Iowa State, which means it's going to be hard for him to win. Farm Ball Sports is in 4th. I don't even see Coach up there. Oh, there you are. You're 10th place, Packer Coach. You're in 10th with Duke. You and James are leaning on Duke, but Ryan Jean, it's a big day for him because he's got in Farm Ball going to try to get up there. He's got Arizona. Now, if Farm Ball can get an Arizona-UConn final, great shape to win this thing. Got 2 picks in the hopper here. So we'll see.
Yeah.
It was a smart job by Farm Ball Sports, doing a good job to take a look at this. But there you have it. And again, we're not going to give away Ed's card because, sorry, James, Ryan, Jean, and Flop Flip. Y'all are 99%. We need you to be 100%, which nobody was. So Ed's car, the Black Charger, is safe for another year, we think. We hope.
Black Beauty. That's its name, Black Beauty.
Black Beauty. Something.
Beauty stays in my driveway, thank God.
Okay. Yeah.
Where they're coming up on the 11th year.
You were a little nervous there.
No, you know what? I'm a little disappointed. I thought I picked Arizona. Apparently I didn't. I got Arizona in all my other picks, but I picked Duke in this main one here.
By the way, I just learned that James 15581 is our pal James Timmons. So kudos to James. He's tied for first with Ryan Jean. I don't know Ryan Jean, but so there you go. He's rooting hard for Duke. The question is, I don't have their brackets to see. Well, maybe I can click and see to do a deep dive and assessment on this. So he's got Purdue, and then he's got in the final. He took Michigan State over Duke. This is Ryan Jean, I believe, right? Which one did I click on? I think I clicked on Ryan.
This is, I think, the first one.
Yeah, Ryan. This is Ryan Jean I clicked on. Okay. So we're going to see what he's got here for the final. He's got Purdue in the championship. He's got Michigan State over Illinois in the final four. It's going to hurt him. He really needs Purdue here. Now, James, let's see what James has got here to finish up here. Mr. Timmons. He's got the Dukies. I think he's going to be disappointed. I don't think the Dukies going to beat Michigan or Arizona. But we'll see. You got a chance. He's got Duke over Houston, who's out Michigan over Arizona. So he's got a good chance there. You know what, Timmons? I like your chances here to take this. You got a chance. And if you win, Ryan Jean or James Timmons, Coach Young has agreed to take you out for when he takes Willie Gauze out for that steak. So there you have it.
Well, I didn't remember agreeing to that, so that's not going to happen either.
Oh.
But maybe I'll get him a coupon to like Burger King or something.
Oh, that's not nice. You don't pay up any of your
free food.
You are the bet welcher. You know that? You just welch on everything. You say winner buys. You won all these games. You won over 500 plus games. How many meals did you buy those losers? They are losers because they lost to you. 2. Yeah. Terrible.
Yeah, I'm going to have to start saying loser buys.
Loser buys, yeah. And then you'll have to win more games because we know you're not going to buy. That's for sure.
Yeah, and right now we're trying to put it together, so maybe I would stick with winners. I'm going to have to stick with winners.
Yeah, I don't think so. All right, let's get to the action today and on the women's side of things. And by the way, I see people are killing Rick Pitino for his coaching in the game against Duke. Folks, first of all, the guy going into yesterday, Ed, was 12-1 all time in the Sweet 16. And as a 7.5 or 6.5 point dog, he had a 10-point lead in the second half on Duke. And we're killing him for his coaching? Give me a break. Get a life. If you had told Pitino or any St. John's fan they're going to score 75 points on Duke and outscored him from the 3-point line, hit 9 threes in the first half, they would have signed for that in a minute. Problem was they hit 9 of 18 threes in the first half and trailed, only led by 1, I should say, at the half. So Duke just beat their defense. They just beat them because they had more guys make plays, and the point guard coming back was a big, big difference in that game. But let's get to the ladies first here because they're coming up here in just mere moments. Louisville women, a 3 seed, taking on 2 seed Michigan in Fort Worth. I'm surprised the Michigan gals are favored by 5.5. I think Louisville's going to win this game outright. They average fewer points per game than Michigan. They give up fewer a game. A little bit better on the glass. I like Coach Waltz. He's been there before. I think Louisville takes this game.
Well, I was going to say Louisville too, but since you got them, I'll go against you and go Michigan.
Kenny Brooks in Kentucky, which had to outlast, got a big block down a stretch late from Clara Strack, who's averaging a double-double for them, had to outlast West Virginia by 1 in a darn good game in Morgantown the other day. I watched every second of that fourth quarter. Great fourth quarter. Taking on the Longhorns and Vic Schaefer's group, they're mighty, mighty tough. Madison Booker, she's a beast inside. Not quite a double-double, but a little bit better scored in Strack. Texas, 33-3, favored by 14.5 against Kentucky. That's a lot of points. I'll be stunned if Texas loses. I'm not sure they'll cover. They might get the backdoor cover. I'm not sure Kentucky hits enough outside shots. Give me Texas to move on.
Texas. And I wish the best for Kenny Brooks. Virginia, if I'm not mistaken, a Virginia native.
Yeah, James Madison. He was coach at JMU. Yep, that's correct. That is correct. You're on top of it. Good job by you. Good job there by you, Edward. All right, we move over to the next one on the docket, and that is Oklahoma and South Carolina. South Carolina, Dawn Staley's crew favored by 17.5 against the Sooners of OU. Need I remind you, Ed, that back in January, Oklahoma beat South Carolina 94-82 in overtime.
Well, this time it'll be South Carolina, but they're not winning by 17. Oklahoma will cover. Give me South Carolina.
Oklahoma will definitely not score 94 points this time. You embarrass a Dawn Staley defense like that, I think they're going to come out with a lot more pride with Raven Johnson and with Joyce Edwards leading the way. And I think South Carolina's going to put it to them. Maybe I'm discounting OU's ability to bludgeon people in the backboards, which is their strength as a team, almost 50 rebounds a game. But I think South Carolina wins this game by 20+. Give me the Gamecocks. And then the last one, this is the one that's got a lot of intrigue for Commonwealth folks. Virginia, a 10 seed. Haven't been on a run like this since the days of Debbie Ryan. 22-11, an 8.5-point dog against TCU with Olivia Miles, former Notre Dame guard. By the way, we saw what another Notre Dame guard and Hannah Hidalgo did yesterday. But what do you think for Virginia, led by Kamora Johnson? She out of Charlottesville. UVA, TCU.
Don't know a whole lot about personnel on either squad. Virginia is the Cinderella at the ball. But I think she loses the glass slipper this one. Give me TCU. Rob, I'm going to go maybe a 5-point win.
You know what the most fascinating thing about this game is? The last 2 games for Virginia over Iowa and Georgia, they won in double overtime and overtime. And TCU's last win on Sunday night last week, I watched into this game too, against Washington, won in overtime by 3. So they've won overtime games. Is this one destined to go to overtime? It might be. Virginia's, I think, playing above its head, and I think they'll cover the 8.5 but lose outright to TCU. It might require overtime, but somewhere in that 4 to 6 point range, give me TCU to get the job done. And then tomorrow's games that are set for the Elite 8, Notre Dame, UConn, Duke, UCLA, Carol Lawson's Duke team, a 10.5-point dog against Miss Betts, Corey Close's group. Lauren Betts is just a monster inside. And UConn, which, by the way, trailed after 1 quarter of play against UNC after beating Syracuse for half by like almost 70 points, I think it was. UConn is a 27.5-point favorite against Notre Dame and Hannah Hidalgo. 27.5-point favorite in the Elite 8 game. Are you kidding me?
I go UConn, but it's hard for me to say they're going to win by 27.5. I just don't see it.
They only beat North Carolina. I say only beat North Carolina yesterday, Ed, by 21. And led by 8 at the half. I think UConn wins by, I'll say 22, and UCLA wins by 16 over Duke.
I got UCLA also.
The men's games today and tomorrow, Elite 8 style. Iowa, Illinois, 6.5-point favorite are the Illini. They met earlier this season. Illini won that game 75-69. Back on January 11th, Keaton Vogler had 19. Tavion Banks had 16 for Iowa. Give me the Illini to win by double figs, to win it by 11.
I agree. I think it'll be a little closer. Give me 7-point win.
Yeah, I think Illinois' size and shooting combination will be enough to get some separation from Iowa in the second half. Remember, Iowa was up 13, 14 points, lost the lead against Florida in that round of 32 game, and they were trailed most of the way against Nebraska. I think it's going to take a more consistent effort for 26 to 32 minutes of the game against Illinois if you want to beat them, just because they have that spurt ability. They hit Houston with that big run. I think like a 17-0 run, and if that happens against Iowa, it's going to be lights out, I think, for them. And Purdue, Arizona, Zona Cats are 5.5-point favorites. Dan Bonner brought it up earlier. The athleticism for Arizona is a problem for Purdue in this game, but Purdue's been playing a lot of close games. Big Ten season. I kind of feel like Zona's in for a grinded out type of game. If they get us in the 70s or 80s, Zona could win easy. But if this thing crawls down to like the mid 60s or below, that's advantage Purdue.
Agreed, but this is Arizona's year. I don't see them losing it. I see them on a 10-point win over Purdue.
Really?
I do. They're big. Now, they don't rely on the three a whole lot, but it's amazing to score over 100 points, and you only hit, what, 5 threes?
Yeah. I think they don't shoot a lot. They had the 6th fewest attempted threes Division I NCAA this year. So unless it's Burries, who's a really complete, crafty guard, and he can handle it, he can shoot it, he can dish it, and he's physically built. Unless it's Burries. I mean, Bradley can pop one here and there, but they don't take a whole lot of threes. Tennessee, Michigan, I think it's the blowout tomorrow. I think Purdue will keep it within the number. I think they'll lose by 4 or 5. Tomorrow, I think we get our one blowout. I know Nate Ament is tremendous from Virginia for Tennessee. Jacoby Gillespie's a veteran point guard, but I think Tennessee misses a lot of shots. They clean up on the glass, and I don't think you can clean up on the glass against Michigan. And if you go through a dry spell, which they're prone to do, remember, they had a dry spell against Virginia late in that ball game. In that game against Virginia, the last 3:37, they'd have field goal. You do that against Michigan, you're going to lose by double figs, and I think they will lose by double figs. Give me Michigan to cover to 7.5. The point guard thing concerns me. If Elliot Cadeau has an off game or gets in foul trouble, they don't have LJ Case on to back him up. But Michigan has a lot of parts, and I think this is going to be their year where they can take down Arizona in the Final Four. Give me the Wolverines to cover it.
Yeah, I've got Michigan. I like Rick Barnes. And how about Rick Barnes? How come his name's not mentioned for Carolina? I know he's older.
Why?
He is a North Carolina resident.
No.
He would be a good selection.
No.
But he will not
over Dusty May?
Oh, I take Rick Barnes over Dusty May.
Oh, no way. You are on drug test this guy. Drug test him.
Rick Barnes over Dusty May.
No way.
6 days a week. Easy.
No way. You are partial to your old heads. Dusty May is one of the best young up-and-coming rising coaches in the sport. You are off your rocker.
Put Dusty May with Tennessee. Does he do better than Rick Barnes?
Yes.
Nope.
Yes.
Nope.
You're wrong. He took Florida Atlantic to the Final Four. Get your head out of the sand.
Right now, we're not talking about Florida Atlantic.
Right. Rick Barnes could not take Florida Atlantic to the Final Four.
At that same team he had? Absolutely.
No, he could not.
Absolutely.
By the way, need I remind you what happened when Rick Barnes' Tennessee team played FAU in the Sweet 16 a few years ago? Dusty May beat him as a big dog.
As Dan Bonner said, the coaches were not dressed and playing it. It's the players got to come out and do the job.
Oh, stop it. You were slurping Rick Barnes out of a straw. He was going.
Now, that's not a good sight. I'm just saying that I'll take Rick Barnes and anybody out there that may be still watching, what would you take?
Oh, they're with me on Dusty May. Dusty May all day long. You need to watch Michigan a little closer, sir. Just because he hasn't been around for decades, like Rick
No,
Barnes.
you don't have to be. I'll push Rick Barnes back to the same level Dusty May is right now.
You're almost talking like this analogy is John Shire, Rick Pitino mismatch here. And by the way, I would never take John Shire over Rick Pitino, but Shire did make a good move in the second half going to a 2-3 zone. Now, I don't think he outcoached Pitino, but he made a good move. And I think Dusty May makes the proper moves. I like his coaching acumen. I like his demeanor. I think he does a good job.
And I'm not saying he's not good. I'm taking
Barnes.
I'm taking Barnes now, and I'll push Barnes back to the same age and experience with May.
When Michigan wins by 14, let me know how you take that pay.
Oh, I'm picking Michigan to win it.
Thank you, Super E. Thank you, Super E.
Come on, E. You've been doing too much traveling.
Rocker on it. No. Ed is stuck back in 2002 thinking this is Rick Barnes when he had TJ Ford and DJ Augustine and Kevin Durant coming up. I mean, come on. No. I'm not saying the game has passed Rick Barnes by. I think he may get a bad rep, but in a big spot, Rick Barnes has never delivered the goods. Now, if he wins tomorrow, that whole narrative changes. There's no question about it. He has the most opportunity to do that. But I don't think you're realizing what a job Dusty May has done in a quick amount of time at Michigan.
I never said here that Dusty May is not good. I never said he hasn't done a good job. You're asking me what coach, strictly on coaching at this point right now, who would you take? I just said Rick Barnes.
I'm going to give you one subtlety because I've watched some of these games. One thing that I don't like that Barnes has done late in games with Tennessee, he's done it a couple times this year, and even one of the commentators, it wasn't Bonner, it was somebody else recently brought this up, and I brought it up to somebody else watching an SEC game this year, is he'll have Ament take the ball out of bounds, and it almost cost them in their game against Texas A&M. I think late in game, I'm telling you, I think he's a little spotty, a little spottier than you realize. And then our last game, we could go in this debate for another 20 minutes. We don't want to lose the audience. I'll let you go first here. Duke and UConn. Blue Devils favored by 5.5. The Huskies were not shooting it well until the last couple of games. They didn't shoot well that first round game, round of 64 against Furman. But Caravan, they got Solo Ball on track. They got Mullins, the young freshman who's going to be a pro. They got the shooting now to go with Terrace Reed inside. The question is going to be, does UConn have enough? Will that bench, they had the reinforcements there, Jalen Stewart, Ryba, to deal with Duke, who's been really a second-half team this year. Duke has been down double figures in two. Here's a great stat on Duke real quick. You realize Duke is 6-0 in games when they're trailing by double figures this season, and they're 7-0 when they're down at halftime.
That is a truly amazing stat because teams can say that, especially against this type of opponents, that you could be down double digits and go undefeated, come back and win. Now,
They trailed Siena and Jerry McNamara, who's now coaching at Syracuse, and St. John's by double figures in the second half, and they trailed briefly in the second half against TCU. So they've been down in the second half of every NCAA tournament game this year. Will they be down in the second half against UConn is my question.
And see, that kind of luck runs out.
Ooh.
It comes against you. I'm going Duke in the margin, predicted, but and it probably because they've got their guys back. Without them, I'm not sure. UConn, they were down 19 to Michigan State, came back and won it. They played tough.
No. Michigan State was down 19 to UConn, took the lead.
That's right. I got
that backwards. Yeah.
The thing about UConn, though, I don't care what they're down. That team's never going to give up because of Danny Hurley. They're going to be in the ball game.
To your point, it's a great point. They do have comeback ability, so it could go the other way for Duke, where Duke has the lead this time and has to protect it. And last year we saw they couldn't protect it in the Final Four against Houston. In the last 2 minutes, they gagged it away.
Yeah, I'm going Duke, but I'm not going to be surprised in the least if UConn beats them.
Agreed. I think Duke gets the backdoor cover to win this by 6 to 8 points. So I would take them with the number. If it was higher, if it was like 7.5, I'd say UConn all day, which is interesting, by the way. The number is smaller than it was against St. John's. I just feel like UConn could be prone to some turnovers at time at the point guard spot. And while they do have good point guard play with Silas DeMary, I do think they could have some open floor turnovers that lead to baskets for Duke. And I can't count on Caravan. They rely sometimes too much on the 3-ball, or they get in a mode with all their actions. They run some great actions, by the way, in the half court. Run some wonderful actions. And I saw this in the second half last night, where they get dependent on Tyrus Reed in the post. And I don't think you can get that post up against Duke. I think Duke has enough to negate that, and I just see the Blue Devils winning. I think it would have been a harder matchup, believe it or not, for Duke against Michigan State, who's more the rugged type of team, to kind of see if they can make those, I don't want to say make those freshmen soften up or melt, but it'd be a tougher matchup. So I actually think, and by the way, the two losers in those games in the semis, in the Sweet 16, Michigan State, St. John's, you could put them in any other region, and I could make a case for them to get to the national championship game. Now, I know Arizona and Michigan, it'd be hard for them to get out of those brackets, but I could put Michigan State and St. John's in that Illinois-Iowa bracket in the South, and I could see them win that and then win a rematch against the Duke or UConn and get to the championship game. That's how good those teams were. So that bracket was just loaded in D.C., loaded.
Yeah, it was. I think that was the hardest bracket to go through, and you're right. If they did a rearrangement, it would be different.
Women's, I've said all year long, it's UConn, UCLA. I think UCLA can actually take down UConn. I know I need to be drug tested and I'm crazy, and you're going to say I'm nuts, but I actually think they can, because my reasoning is hold on. My reasoning is UConn women haven't been in a close game all year. Every game's been by double figures, which has only happened once in their title runs of dominance. On the men's side, I've got, if I did a redo bracket, which my bracket Final Four, my main one was St. John's, Houston, Arkansas, Michigan. I have one left. I'll say Michigan beats Arizona, Duke beats Illinois, and Michigan beats Duke, a rematch of the regular season game that Michigan lost to them. They get revenge for them in the championship game. How about you? You got Arizona winning the whole thing over who now?
Duke.
There you have it. That's going to do it for this episode of 757 Sports Talk. For the coach, Ed Young, I am Matthew Hatfield, and we'll see you next time right here on Cova Sports TV. It'll be April, and Ed promises not to bring April showers.
April's a good month. A certain coach was born in April, coming real quick.
You are correct. There was a coach born in the month of April. You know who that coach was? Dan Campbell.
Yes, Danny Campbell, and another guy who sometimes emulates Danny Campbell, especially when he goes home.
No, Herm Edwards does not emulate him, but he was born in, and Eli Drinkowitz was born in April too. We'll see you next time, everybody. Adios, amigos. You've been watching Cova Sports.
Be safe.
TV.